Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The question of the day is: do the descendants of the Mayflower, the English leadership class, do they still run America? And if not, who run it? Who run it? Wani, who run it?
I'm not sure. Let's talk some more. Could be some touchy subjects.
Yeah, I'm
Could be
sorry.
touchy.
Yeah, it is very touchy. So, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America was founded on in a very strange way. It was considered. It was created as colonies of England and France, and Spain. Actually, they were all fighting each other. Never forget that. First and foremost, good evening. It's good to see y'all. The topic of the day is: do descendants of the Mayflower still run America? And are FBAs part English? Are we? We'll get to that in a moment. It's good to see Nikki, Wani. Hey, Miss Stacy. New Black, Angry. What's up, MF Original Reba? FBA Trade Day. I hope he gonna spit some hot fire today because he be teaching me. Great Heights, True New. Nas, what up? T Watts, VA, Ishu, Daquan. Who else up in this thing? And the rest of you. It's good to see y'all. Today's gonna be kind of deep. We're gonna do 2 hours today. I got something to do in about 2 hours. But anyway,
And I'm gonna have to drop out when Tariq goes live, but I still love you, love all of you.
right on, right on. So let's talk about the topic right quick because it's deep. Um, let's look at this. So America, let's start. Let's do this right. Let's not play around here. Let's talk about 1492. In 1492, you had a guy named Christophe Colomb who was charged with finding gold. And Christophe Colomb, also you know him as Christopher Columbus, um, sailed based off information he received from Moors. Um, when Christopher Columbus or Christophe Colomb made it to Hispaniola, which is not America, by the way. Uh, um, I'm not sure if it's Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic where he went, but anyway, Christophe Colomb was charged. Basically, Christopher Columbus got a charter to do this. The charter was granted by Queen Isabella of Spain and the Catholic Church and King Ferdinand of Spain, but the Catholic Church also co-signed it. Under the word is underwrite. They paid for it. So two things had to happen in order for Christophe Colomb, or whatever you want to refer to him as, to sail. Um, um, you know what I'm saying, to sail the blue seas and find the new world. I gag when I say new world, by the way. It disgusts me saying new world because there already was a world here. How was it new? But what do I know? He was ordered to have a diary, uh, a captain's log, if you will, like Star Trek. Y'all forgive me, I'm fidgeting with the fireplace, but about to cook some s'mores. Well, anyway, uh,
Some more s'mores.
I'm cooking some more s'mores. Exactly. Um, they were real popular last night, and you never if you got a good thing, keep it going, right? Anyway, I've been having a blast. All right, so let's get back to business. When Christopher Columbus, we're just gonna call him Columbus for the sake. When Christopher Columbus got to Hispaniola, he wrote in his diary, which was required by the Catholic Church and King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. He put this entry in his diary. Quote, they brought us parrots' balls and balls of cotton and spears and many other things which they exchanged for glass beads and hawks' bells. They willingly traded everything they owned. They were well built, with good bodies and handsome features. They do not bear arms and do not know them, for I showed them a sword, and they took the edge of it and cut themselves out of ignorance. They have no iron, their spears are made of cane. They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them and make them do whatever we want. That was his thought process. These are nice people. They're really nice and kind and sweet. They make excellent slaves. That was the intent. The intent of European nations was to look for a land to dominate, right? Fast forward 200 years, give or take. And King James of England read these diaries, um, and identified the New World as a good place for him to go grow his dope. He wanted a place to grow cigarettes, tobacco, right? So, long story short, what is now America was colonized into 13 colonies, and these 13 colonies were dominated um, by the English. Um, so, given that fact, the English uh, baron class, according to Dr. Howard Zinn, these were barons. So, if you in your mind you think of the whole feudal system, and I'm gonna help you out with a visual aid. I'm a visual learner. Like most Black people are visual learners, which is interestingly enough. Let's see if I can find that thing. There it is. Bam. In the jumbotron, I'm putting the hierarchy of which I speak of England. So this is the feudal system, ladies and gentlemen. This is how England operated back in the day, and to a certain extent operates now. The king makes all decisions. They say the king is the land, and the land is the king. Right below the king allocates his royalty to the nobles. Now, the nobles are ladies, earls, dukes, barons, counts, um, clergy. Religious members are considered lower order, lower magnitude royals. Well, um, why am I bringing this up? I know it's boring you half to death, but the reason why I bring this up is critical. The management class of the 13 colonies were barons. Dr. Howard Zinn calls them robber barons. So they were nobles. They were English. Got it? They were the ones who had the authority to tell everybody what to do. In fact, give you a little interesting random fact. If y'all give me a thumbs up if y'all ever heard the term goody two shoes. Goody two shoes. Y'all heard that before? Do y'all know that came from ladies? So a noble was called a lady. And in the 13 colonies, if you were a noble and you were a lady, they had to refer to you as Goody. Like Dr. Alon, they had to refer to you as, hey, Wani. Let's say Donnie Wani had a was a Goody. I had to bow my head and say, "Good morning, Goody Wani. Good morning, Goody Nikki." I had to call you Goody. And when they would walk off, the poor colonists, the peasant colonists would say, "Oh, Goody two shoes." She has two shoes. Like, she has two shoes to wear. She's rich, right? Well, these were the management class of the 13 colonies, right? So I got an argument for this room. My argument is, given the fact America was set up for the English, which were the management class, the ladies, dukes, lords, counts, earls, and the like. Given they were English, are the do the English, do the Mayflower class still run America? Now, I'm being facetious with Mayflower because some of the English colonists, Goody class, noble class, came over on the Mayflower, but they came over on other ships as well. But my question is, does that lineage still run America? And if not, who runs it? Wani?
You know, those people that operate behind the scenes, they
Ooh,
manipulate the whole globe, making sure that everyone's flooded with immigrants. Those guys.
ooh, them. Well, is it given the fact that the English were the management class? Um, is it fair to have a management class over foundational Black Americans, given the fact we have English lineage? What do you mean, Alon? What do you mean, Professor? This is exactly what the hell I mean. My big mama was raped or excuse me, was essayed on the fields of Aniana, Alabama. That's why we be light skinned and be having curly hair and green eyes and all that junk that people go crazy over. Proud of being essayed. That's a whole nother space. Um, I have English lineage. So does that mean that I need to be included as a man in the management class of the United States of America? That would be fair, right? What do you think? Am I out of line?
Oh, well, we do have on average 25%. Not only that, we have haplogroups. Let me get the numbers real quick. We have 35 to 40% in the males. They have a European haplogroup. Now, the predominant amount is from English people and plantation activities, but there's also close proximity sex that happened with other Europeans outside, which created all those triracial isolates that we discussed before in the group. And we have a lot of people who have a maternal line going to Scandinavian women, and we have a lot of Black Americans that have a, um, well, there was a Swedish settlement, so there's a lot of Black Americans with that. And we also have a boatload of people with Irish maternal lines. Irish women gave birth to a lot of Black American children, and a lot of them lied and said that they were Native American, so they didn't get any kind of, you know, heat from the authorities as time went on.
I'm talking through a mute. Y'all forgive me. That's my point exactly. Wani brought up the Irish, and if you refer back to the jumbotron and you look at my the hierarchy of um, order of leadership, the feudal order, the Irish were not included in that. Matter of fact, and by that pronoun, I mean they were not included in leadership. The Irish were at the bottom tier. They were peasants. Excuse me, serfs. Serfs. Now, the foundational Black American was considered a peasant, that which is below, technically below a serf. But given the fact a lot of close proximity, I'm not even gonna say close proximity. I want to say RAP so bad. A lot of SA happened on them fields. Um, black
Yes, that happened on the fields, and predominantly it is English.
That's what I'm trying to say. So I have English lineage. And given the fact that I have English lineage, why isn't an Irishman telling me what to do? According to Dr. Howard Zinn on page 227 of his masterpiece, he said, how could these new Irish immigrants, themselves poor and despised, become sympathetic with the black slave who is becoming more and more the center of attention, the subject of agitation in the country? Indeed, the most working class activists at that time ignored the plight of the blacks. Eli Moore, a New York trade union leader elected to Congress, argued in the House of Representatives against receiving abolitionist petitions. Racial hostility became an easy substitute for class frustration. Right? So the
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, our general attitude about all that was to deny that lineage, and we just continued with that mindset. The only people that were going along with it and trying to create different classes of people were in Louisiana, and they were overpowered by the prevailing attitude of denying the admixture altogether and declaring ourselves one group of people, not these fragmented groups, and not acknowledging any of that DNA. And I'm glad that we did that. And I'll still do it to this day. But, sometimes it has to be mentioned.
Well, Wani, since we're talking about Louisiana, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that you had a lot of you had history teachers that either A didn't know what they were talking about, or B were intentionally trying to play hide the ball by spreading propaganda. But that's what I'm here for. Let me give you a re-education. Louisiana stands for Louisville. And Louis, who was that? That was King Louis the 14th. You know, the one who had the girl, the wife, Marie Antoinette, that got her head cut off for saying a dumbass comment. Yeah, him. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because the French have a different culture than the English. Some people interpret French culture to be better than the English. It's less violent. What do we mean? In France, um, French are more concerned with your ability to be French, your cultural, the way you speak French. How French are you? Are you a ballerina? Do you have something, some quality that France respects? They can kind of ignore race so much. You know, they care about culture, whereas the English are strictly about bloodlines. Everything about England is bloodlines. It's baked into the cake because of that feudal system, right? France had a feudal system as well, but it just, they could turn their head a little bit more culturally. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because Louisiana had a Napoleonic Code as law, as opposed to common and case law. And the Napoleonic Code had Code Noir. That stands for Black Code, which means that black slave woman, received legal rights and legal standing, legal protectional status once she married a white guy. Well, French people, rich French boys had crushes on them little black women and would line up at what is now Cafe du Monde. You know where you get those beignets and coffee in New Orleans? I love them too. Line up right there to buy the cutest black enslaved girl they could find and marry her. And once they married her, the law said you got to take care of her. Should they have a kid? The law under Code Noir said you have to take care of this child until he or she is 18 years old. So it was a little bit different in Louisiana. In Alabama, where I'm from, um, the black slave who was being essayed on the fields of Aniana, like my big mama, was considered property. What can you do with property? You can take it out back and burn it. And unfortunately, that's what happened to a lot of our ancestors. So it's not necessarily equatable. But my argument stands the same. I'm coming to you, Nikki. My argument is, given the fact that I am mixed, a lot of us are mixed with English. Why were the Irish telling us what to do? Aren't we part of the management class?
Technically,
Let's talk
tech-
about it.
technically we are. And it's hilarious because we were walking around in three-piece suits and Victorian clothing when a lot of these people came over here and they were illiterate, couldn't speak English, didn't understand anything. We had schools, we had universities, and these people were completely, people like the Irish and people like the Italians, they didn't want to go to school. They had to be forced to go to school. They had no interest in education. They were interested in crime, however, and they set up crime networks, as you know. Um, they were considered illiterate. They did not know how to function in society. And like we said, they came on these lice infested ships. And it must have been shocking to be told, you are now white, even though they weren't, or to even believe that they had some camaraderie with the English when in fact the English were looking down, very down on them just as much as they were looking down on us. They looked down on us for a number of reasons. They just have a hatred for people that are brown, and they also know that we're related to them. There's no difference between Black Americans and Cubans. There are some light Cubans and there are some dark Cubans. The only difference is that we don't acknowledge them as our family members, um, and they don't acknowledge us. So we have a silent agreement to not mention that, to look the other way when they have certain features, and we just don't acknowledge it, or we live in that delusion that it's not really um, one group.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is heavy. This is some groundbreaking shit we talking about. Nikki, you had a comment. Come on with it.
I actually had a question.
Come on.
I was trying to understand why in New Orleans they saw the mulatto or half black children as their children, and in other places they saw them as property. What was so much different with New Orleans than other places?
The
The
French.
French. Yep.
Okay.
The Portuguese also took African women as wives and didn't real and wanted their children to be something other than enslaved once they made it here. A lot of these African women came over as wives of the captain on these slave ships. And I've read a lot of articles where they didn't want their children to be enslaved. They knew that this was hostile territory and they had them go somewhere that was considered safe. So they did have a different attitude. The English had no problem enslaving their excuse me, enslaving their own children and walking around in the house with them like Thomas Jefferson.
And that shit needs to be talked about, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Jefferson sold one of his daughters. I mean, I was talking about in lecture the other day that Thomas Jefferson lived in the mansion with his wife and his kids upstairs. And when he kissed his lovely wife goodnight, I guess he slid down the pole like a fireman to meet Sally Hemings. Look it up. Sally Hemings, his side piece, or as the little kids in Memphis call it, his junt. That's Junt. His 14-year-old junt, by the way, who he had 5 or 6 kids by. I can't tell if it's 5 or 6, one of which he sold. How do you do that? How do you sell your child into slavery? How do you do that? Well, the English found a way. Why they do it, I don't know. But the fact of the matter, deal with it. They did it. That's what made the slave trade much worse for Black Americans than for, say, people impacted by the French or people impacted by the Spanish. Get yourself the people impacted by the Spanish were worse than the French. The French were about the best. And I'm not praising France because France was and is was and currently does have white supremacist tendencies. But you can kind of fake it until you make it with the French. If you got money, if you got a skill, and you just get a perfect accent and you're French, your skin color can be ignored to a certain degree, but not in England, baby. We're seeing that right now with Meghan Markle. She married a prince for the love of goodness, and she's still going through hell because she's not the perfect bloodline. But that's a question that I want somebody to answer for me. Why is it important to be have pure blood in England? I don't know.
They don't have any pure blood. That's the funny part. Now,
Talk about it, Wani.
did you know that in Monaco, which is sandwiched between France and Italy, um, the oldest prince is a black guy, I guess you could say,
Wow.
African, and he was fathered by the Prince of Monaco. Or is he the king now? I don't know. Yeah, he had sex with a African woman that was a flight attendant. Had a whole son and was really, they just liked each other, but they made him marry a blonde haired, blue eyed woman and ignore that son, even though he still gets money. They assure the public that he would never be part of royalty. So that's something that I think is, it's not them, it's the pressure of the monarchy. It's not really the individuals, it's the pressure of the monarchy, and you're not going to go against it.
Well, I guess it makes sense because the people of England, I well, in any monarchy, a lie is told in a lot of jurisdictions that equates. I caught a lie when I was doing my studies in grad school. The lie that I caught is a lot of monarchies from England to Japan tell the same lie. They say that they're directly related to God. Like in Japan, they say the emperor is a direct descendant of God. Like God
That
came.
gives him the authority to rule.
Yes, and that's important. Like, could you tell us more about that, Wani? That's more your zone than mine.
Not really. They say they're, given the power to rule by the divinity of God. So they all have to come up with a story of being related to some supernatural creature.
Right. And if you're related to some supernatural creature, you must have special blood. And if you mix with the commoners or the colored folk, the people say, "Hey, that's not fair. I want to be part of the royalty." So you got to keep up the lie. You know what I'm saying? But the real question is, why does that work in France? Because it works pretty well in France. It works in Portugal. I don't know. I don't know why the French culture works better that way.
France, France had an original attitude where if you came from North Africa, say you're Algerian, if you would go to France, if you'd learn how to speak French, and if you would, do French things, they wouldn't bust your chops. But that's not what people are these days. People are going over to France and still doing whatever they want and talking about they're going to put Sharia law in. So things are flipped upside down for them right now.
I've heard that that's going on in France right now. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Wani. But back to the point at hand. Um, I'm what we're discovering tonight. We're trying to unpack is how do Irish immigrants come over here and assume a leadership role over Black Americans when the Irish immigrants, A, were not considered white. We'll deal with that in a minute. And B, a lot of the Black Americans, including my mother's side of the family, apparently have English blood. So if it's all about blood and lineage, doesn't blood dictate your leadership, um, your capacity for leadership? What am I missing? Just move anything you
You
want.
do have that blood. However, they are using the one drop rule, which means that if you have a drop of another blood, that disqualifies you from whatever. So that's fine. I'll take that position.
Didn't a lot of people in the royal family? I heard that a few of them married each other, married family members, married each other in the royal family. Isn't that true?
Yeah,
Yes.
they have the Habsburgs. What was the other one that was mentioned yesterday? Where they got the
Uh,
hemophiliac.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
That's
yeah.
a huge problem for them.
The Habsburg, they had a jaw, right? You know about that?
Yeah, their mouths were deformed, their tongues didn't function, and most of the women had sex with the footmen because they weren't going to have babies with these blubbering guys. These guys couldn't talk. They were sitting at the table, the royal table, unable to speak because of
Wow.
inbreeding, because of inbreeding.
Yeah, I saw it was a group of people in Kentucky, off in the mountains, who got caught up with inbreeding, and it turned them blue. Like they kept the gene pool was very limited, and over time, this group of people their skin start to turn blue. Like
Why
part of
blue though? Did they ever
I
say why
don't
it was blue?
know.
That's not a normal color for skin.
Yeah, yeah. I think the creator intended for us to kind of diversify. If you look at dogs, purebred dogs live on average shorter than mutts. A mutt will live forever. Got all them
Yep.
diversified genes. You understand?
Yeah, they have a lot of health issues too. Just like when I've heard of SA occurring with, let's say, a father doing that to his daughter, and then now the his his child will be his grandchild. A lot of times that child will have kidney issues and their organs wouldn't function. They would pass away in their 40s. I've heard of so many cases like that. It's just not a good thing to do.
It's not intended. It's not naturally intended. Yeah. Yep. Hey, Tahal. Tyrol. I don't get my glasses on. What's on your mind, bro? We go to Tyrol, and then we go to Miss Stacy.
Uh, Hey, how y'all doing? Peace to everybody in the room. Lonnie, Nikki, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on the incest part where y'all was talking about incest. Yeah, a lot of the English bloodline has been proven that a lot of them did have a lot of incest, but also a lot of, truth be told, a lot of the monarchy were black people too. They had a lot of black in the monarchy, and they try to hide it a lot. Um, Charlotte, Virginia is actually named after Queen Charlotte, and she was depicted as a black woman. I'll let my plan on that.
I keep hearing this. Could you tell me more about this? What's? And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I haven't done any scholarship on it. I've heard that she.
Well,
Uh,
she was a from the Portuguese slave, and she went into the Germanic part of their family from being half, I think, Portuguese. I can look it up, but yeah, she has African descent. Even
Yeah, correct.
the queen didn't even deny that. So, she did.
wow, that's very fascinating. When you get the scholarship, let me know. Miss Stacy, do descendants of the Mayflower still do do descendants of the Mayflower run America? What are your thoughts?
Mm, um, it seems like it,
Why so?
not by themselves, but I don't know, just kind of like like I've been listening to you and talking about the whole like part English thing too, and yeah, even my lineage when I did my
What did
research,
it come
same
up?
thing.
What did your lineage?
You said
No, no,
where?
no, no, because you're really light skinned, and I saw pictures of you. You had where you had like reddish, blondish hair. So, what did your lineage come up as?
Oh gosh, it's kind of all over. It's a lot of mostly the Africa had the mostly where everybody. It's got like Nigeria and Congo and a lot of Ivory Coast. And then it had some English,
Stop,
Scottish.
stop, stop right
I
there.
know it's
What was your English
yeah.
percentage?
I think it was like, you know what? I have to pull it back up. I don't know if it was seven or something was 11%, and then there was something that was seven
Okay, well, stop right
percent.
there. Let's just you know what? Let's be conservative. Let's say you only had let's say
Okay.
you only had 7% English lineage.
Mhm.
That puts you at a higher percentage of English leadership class than than the Irish immigrants who came over. So, given the fact you had English blood, why were the Irish telling you what to do? What state are your family from? Is your family from?
My mom's from Texas. My dad is from Mississippi.
Yeah. So,
So yeah.
so you had oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to figure out why I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to understand how this thing works. Now, granted, ladies and gentlemen, I know that I'm trying to understand insanity. But I'm slick trying to like identify that uh the original management class of this country was got it was based on lineage, based on English blood. That's what it was. What Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, these are barons, basically. These are noble class gentlemen, and in the king's court. That's what gave them the authority to have land, to have management authority over enslaved people, over indentured servants. So, how does it work when they have a child that's in their direct lineage? Shouldn't that? And I don't agree with the institution of slavery. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, shouldn't there be an order of operations, or is this just I say so? You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Wani? Is this just I say so?
It is just I say so because
That's
it's like I said, you've got people coming over here that are peasant class people here because they failed in their countries and they're trying to rule over us. And it's like, wait a minute, we've been here the whole time. We're one fourth the lineage that these people are claiming is so good. And you don't even speak English. And you're coming over here mad at us, coming up with terms like Ebonics when we speak better than you and has been speaking English since we come into contact with these people.
that's the point of this space, is to identify that groups that came after the English management class were put with a priority over Black Americans. Um, and when Black Americans, if you want to go by blood, the rules of bloodline, the English rules of bloodline, a lot of us, including myself, have English blood. Now, let me get something straight. I'm not by any means praising that English blood because it might sound like I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm just letting y'all know that things are out of order, and Black Americans um, have rights, in my pro se opinion, have rights and priorities to this land for multiple reasons. The main reason is we were here in the first place. We were indigenous, which we'll talk about later on in another space down the road when research is finished. But just to add fuel to the fire, I wanted to identify to the room that we have, unfortunately, because it came by in a real, nasty kind of way. We're directly related to the Baron. If you look at the second tier in the Jumbotron, we are related to the lords, the fiefs, no, the lords, the vassals. Particularly in America, we're related to the barons. And again, Dr. Howard Zinn calls them robber barons. Got it? Onyx, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. The more I hear about, how these people are casually, like the more disgusted I become. And it truly is the devil's work, I would say, that this kind of behavior, that this kind of character is somehow seen as the most desirable. That's the thing that throws me off. I mean, what, for the sake of white skin? I mean, when you look at the character of these people, they sound like damn demons, how they moved. And yet, because people idolize uh, power, first place, such and so, conquest, they look up to wickedness, and it's like, I mean, I'm just disgusted. Like, I don't understand how this shit even made first place.
Yeah, it's disgusting and it's a hard thing. It was a hard thing to decide to talk about, but I decided that it needed to be addressed. If I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Hillel, right? Anyway, yes, and brother, to kind of back you up with some scholarship, let's look at Dr. Claude Anderson. He wrote an article that's called, this really, literally, the article is called Who's Who in Racial and Ethnic Rankings. That's like a damn shame that that article has to exist. Let me read it one more time. Who's Who in Racial and Ethnic Rankings.
Let me see if I agree with this rankings.
You want to know what the first
I'm not
sentence said?
sure.
Hold on, Wani. I bet you can guess what the first sentence says. I got them psychic. What do you think the
Nope.
first?
You tell me.
The first sentence says, quote, if blacks are at the bottom, who is in the middle and the top in racial and ethnic ranking system in this country? Dr. Anderson further says the major elements in determining one's ranking are race, skin color, country of origin, ethnicity, and religious denomination. That's about right, ain't it? Dr. Anderson says the higher your ranking, the more you're welcomed. That's not funny, but as a black American from Alabama, I'm like, that's about right. The higher your ranking, the more you're welcome and preferred to live as an American, as a citizen in this nation. Dr. Anderson says America was first established as an English-speaking Anglo-Saxon Protestant nation, so they have priority, right? Which goes back to my argument of, given the fact we're mixed with English, why don't we have priority over the Irish? Why didn't we? Past tense. Yeah, it's good
Well,
to go.
I just wanted to say real quick, when people say that we shouldn't define our lineage by the event of slavery, we actually don't, but they say we do. But why do the Mayflower descendants define themselves by being the descendants of someone who sailed over here on a ship? It's the same thing. You sailed over here on a ship and your lineage took another turn. You are now not being born in England anymore. Okay.
Hello.
You're now possibly admixing with other groups. You're a whole new person. And a lot of white people that I've interviewed, they don't even have like they don't seem interested in Europe. Like, why? They're not interested in it. They treat it like it's something else, some distant thing that they don't really want to celebrate. You don't see anybody getting mad in school saying, "Hey, I want my Swedish lineage to be talked about in school." No, we want our lineage to be spoken about because we're a minority and because we have a hell of a lot of legendary performances within our lineage. But these other Europeans, they are just very quiet. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to, upset the apple cart. And they are not interested in being European. They have decided to ethnicize themselves and just be white. I mean, maybe because the English were so impressive to them that they just want to just be white. And then that's an assumption of being English, even though you're not English, just because you say you're white. But they have really bent the knee to be English, or honorary English people. And I just think
Wow.
it's crazy when you look at how they have a fully blown, lineage and culture in their countries.
Right. Right. Um, Dr. Anson further says wealth and power were concentrated at the top of the scale in the hands of white Anglo-Saxon Protestant and decreased in the don't get my glasses on, in accord with the darkness of a person's skin color. The racial and ethnic ordering shown in Table 6, I'll put in a Jumbotron in a moment, is a comparative analysis of the allocation of benefits, access to resources, immigration policies, and foreign affairs and relationships. There has always been an open immigration policy with certain allied WASP nations. WASP stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Basically English. That's what that means. So Dr. Anderson backed me up. The English had a higher priority.
Yes, they
So
do.
So somebody answer me this, because I'm not that smart. Somebody tell me, how did the Irish and how did the Italians get over here and get priority over us when we have English blood? How does that work?
Because they created that white ideology, and it is just that. It's an ideology because they don't treat each other like that in real life. English people discriminate against the other groups on in the British Isles. They look down on the Greeks, they look down on all Southern Europeans, and they feel that they are somehow better than them. And I'm not sure why, because none of those people are pure anything.
Thank
But
you, Juan.
I just wanted to.
I think it goes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Onyx.
I think it really goes more. Well, now that they're over here, it goes more off optics. So, they have to cast a wide net in order to, increase their numbers. So they'll go under the banner of white. It would be like if Asians went under the banner. Well, if the Japanese, the Koreans, and the Chinese went under the banner of just Asian. They just threw away what they were at home. And in order to, go out to the world and conquer the world, they went under the banner of Asian. I think white society, to a large degree, in Europe, they just came to this agreement to where, okay, we all look the same, so we're all going to get on this page. And so when they're around us, they will and deal in that manner. When they're around themselves, they start, I'm saying, dividing up and figuring out who's who. So it really is done to that level. I wish black people had that kind of disposition in the African diaspora. I think out of every ethnic group, I hate to say it, but I think we're not we, but the African diaspora is the most fractured, done by design and done self-inflictedly, but that's
Preach.
I think that's where it comes from.
Yes, it does. It's yeah. Dr. Anderson kind of hit it when and this is gonna be unpopular, what I'm gonna say. But Dr. Anderson mentioned religion as a qualifier. I learned today, believe it or not, by talking to somebody who has a parent from Haiti, that that was done to that was the reason for division in the Dominican, because Haiti and Dominican Republic are on the same landmass. Well, it used to be Hispaniola, but I was taught that the same people were just basically divided because of those ideologies. Like, I'm this religion and you're not. Therefore, I'm closer to whiteness than you, even though we're the same friggin' people. This is insanity.
The ultimate irony that I found out is that when it comes to, because here's the thing, one thing I've had to come to terms with is that people will take a set of beliefs, flip it, and make it into their own image. I think that has been massively done when it comes to white society. Like they peddle a religion that didn't even begin with them. They put a white face across it and say, "Hey, this is God." And it's like we have to realize that that kind of avenue has been used time and time and time and time again. I don't go to a white church. I just I don't. I'm not at the point to where I don't trust them. I don't. I look at that image as blasphemous. That whole white Christ image is blasphemous. Nothing but a tool of conquest. And I'm looking at people's behavior. And one thing I noticed when it comes to white society is that they will drop that completely in the name of their ethnic group. Meaning they can be an atheist, a Muslim, or whatever, but they don't let that get in the way of them being white. They have more of an affinity of group cohesion under whiteness than they do anything that they've ever peddled. I've come to realize that.
Great word, group cohesion. And you're right. And that's what Dr. John Henry Clark said. He said it is Christendom. It's not Christianity. Um, I believe in God. I do. I believe in a creator. And I'm not, here to diss anybody's belief system. I wouldn't dare do that. But what the gentleman said is true. That the group in question weaponizes everything. Everything. Nothing is above being weaponized to further group cohesion. And last little point I want to break off before I open the floor up is what Wani said. What Wani implied. She didn't say it. What Wani basically implied is what I know to be true, is that the term white is fictitious. It was created for group, like the gentleman just said, group cohesion with respect to the domination of our group. So my question to the floor is, how do we have group cohesion? Is it possible? What do y'all think?
Yes.
What do we do?
We seem to have it when we're under immense pressure and then we disperse when things get a little bit better. So I think that Acknowledging our lineage is something that's good for us to give us that group cohesion feeling, knowing that we share this unique experience here and that nobody else can step into it. It's just about us. So I think this is a powerful way to build that back up. We do need a booster shot again. We need a say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud booster shot.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. And I don't know how you guys feel about Dr. Umar, even though people can say whatever about Dr. Umar, Pan African, this and that. I kind of do like his disposition when it comes to dealing with black people, as far as, him being, as far as the whole mindset. I would love to instill that kind of mindset when it comes to a group cohesiveness. Like, for example, I don't have any hostility towards any other ethnic group, but I strongly believe that we have to really prioritize each other. We have to really, like, I saw a video. I wish I knew what it was, but it was this one black woman talking about we have to learn to privilege each other. We have to do among and do for each other consistently as other groups do for one another. And if we had that mindset and make it common practice and really discourage dealing outside of our group, I feel like that right there will create generational group cohesion. We have to make this instilled.
Here's the problem. This is a problem that we have when we compare ourselves to smaller immigrant groups. We have been here for a long time, half a millennia, and we've spread all over. We live in every state. So we don't have those neighborhoods where everybody's huddled together. Just like the Chinese people, they don't assimilate. So they're all huddled together and they can trade amongst themselves, not hire people from outside, marry within their group. And that's their little huddled immigrant attitude. And all the immigrants coming over here have that we're all huddled together, scared of the world attitude. We didn't have that. And we paid the price for it by not having the strong neighborhoods that we would want to have and not being able to trade easily amongst ourselves. And, basically a lot of local stores went down in flames and got replaced by bigger stores like Amazon and Walmart. So a lot of things have stopped us and dispersed our money. And we do have to be more focused. We do have to do those boycotts because boycotts are very effective, but we just don't do them as much. I think if we boycott strategically and prioritize buying things that we can buy from each other, I think that would really be very powerful.
Well,
Oh yeah, I do that. I've made that common practice. Like, for example, and like I said, this is not about hate. This is about group cohesion. I don't go to any corner stores where it's people of other ethnicities, simply because I feel like we're just at a point to where we have to deal among each other. I'd rather go to a big box store, or a larger name, or when it comes to dealing with small businesses, I'll choose a black person selling the stuff than I will with another group selling the stuff, because I feel like it's just at that level, for the sake of self defense and group cohesion, that like I step around those immigrant stores. It's just become common practice for me.
Very good. I haven't visited those stores since I think I was around 14 and they started following me around like I was stealing. Before that, they were just rude. And before that, it was a white store. And before that, it was a black store. The black store was not rude. They knew what candy I wanted. The white store had to learn what candy I wanted, but he did make an effort to learn our candy. And then we got these other people, and they just basically didn't want us in the store. Just, you're selling candy, but we don't want children in the store. And if you come in the store, we're just going to ignore you, not learn your consumer habits and be generally
wow.
rude. That was what I experienced as a child. I lived through those three phases of people, and then by the time I got to be in my mid teens, they just declared me to be a shoplifter and followed me around the store. So I never went back. Never went back ever. Permanent
Yeah,
boycott for life.
the situation with Peter Liang, when the Asian community came out to run defense for that guy, that's when that was a turning point for me. when I saw how, okay, I go to your store and then you have this kind of disposition towards me, or you have a fucked up attitude when it comes towards me. So that's that right there. When they got him off the hook, that right there was the nail in the coffin for me. That's when I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna make it a point to step around these stores.
Peter Liang
And
is that dude that shot that 14-year-old baby in the face, right?
no, that wasn't
Oh, that was
the
the other.
one.
That was a lady.
Oh,
That was a lady in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yeah, that was before I was born, but yeah, I feel where you're coming from with that. The Peter Liang one was in the midst of the whole Black Lives Matter stuff, to where all these white cops were getting off, and it's like the Asian community they had the same mindset. Well, okay, if you're letting them off, then you should let our guy off. That's right there. That was like, okay, fuck this. I'm done. I'm making it a point to step around your establishment everywhere I can. I'm gonna find whatever I need. Whoever's selling the same shit that you're selling, I'm a bad from them, and that's exactly where I've been at ever since. To be honest, I'm gonna be just ended with this one. We should make it a point to learn other people's dishes, whatever that we get from them, and do it to a black degree. We have to start. What's that word they have? What's it called?
fusion. To my food, that's
What's it,
fusion.
they're not fusion. It's what's it called when somebody's taking somebody else's culture and
Appropriate
then
their
profiting
stuff.
off of it. Yeah, we need to start doing that. We need to have black Asian food spots. We need to have black Mexican food spots. We have to make that commonplace
That is a
so that we,
great idea.
so that we have a place, okay, I can still get my stuff from this brother over here. I feel like that's the best way to go about it.
I wanted
What a
to.
great idea.
You know what?
Uh,
My son actually went to culinary academy and he loves to cook. And you know that I love that you said that, Onyx, because my son said he wanted to open the first black sushi restaurant.
Yeah, he should.
Oh yeah.
And I'm all for it, but I don't know how he's gonna get it done. He said that years ago. I don't know if he's changed his mind, but if it's still in the back of his mind, I sure will talk to him
What?
about
Just
that.
find a spot where they have an Asian shop with a whole bunch of black customers, and just build right there. Say, hey, if you deal with me, I'm doing stuff among the community. You will literally shut down the
Yes.
competing
God dang.
business
I hope
doing
y'all are
that.
taking notes. That business
that's what
model
the Jewish
alone.
people did. That's what the Jewish people did in Germany.
Oh yeah, just
Undercut.
that's exactly how you get down. Just parallel. Say, hey, I'm gonna give you something better, and that way you just clip the whole block.
Did y'all hear that hot fire? Damn, that's a good idea. But let me tell you why that's brit. Let me tell you why that's brilliant.
Amen.
Business is composed of three elements: location. Does anybody want to guess the third?
Location.
Location.
Location. And if
Location.
you open up a
Location.
black Chinese joint right next to the Chinese joint, black people will go to you. A lot of them will go to you just because
Because it tastes better too, because
it tastes better
we're
too.
excellent cooks. But I just want to throw this part in before we move on. The customer service with these other people is extraordinarily ignorant, and it doesn't really have anything to do with our race. They're just ignorant. They don't have the
Mm.
same customer service that we expect as Americans. That was drilled in. The customer is always right. They don't share that belief system. Honesty, ethics, they don't share that. I have seen them fighting with European descendants on many videos. I've seen them rip them off. I've seen them, like someone will go in to get their nails done. They'll get in a fight. They'll chase them out on the parking lot. They do very ignorant things to them as well. It's really comes down to they have poor customer service, and the people we're dealing with are ghetto, but you don't know it because you don't know the ghetto they came out of, from where they're ghetto people. They're ignorant. They don't have any grace, and they come over here feeling like, oh, I'm in this dumpy neighborhood. Even in a dumpy neighborhood, you still had class and you still had ethics and you still had customer service, even in a dumpy
Preach.
neighborhood. But they don't know that. They think they can bring their dumpy behavior and their trashy lifestyle over here and they can do anything they want as long as they're not black. They're supposedly above us. But that's what you're dealing with. They don't have any class. They
But
don't have
one,
any
that's the
manners.
lesson. That's the lesson right there. As long as you're not black,
Right. They feel
that-
above, but you'll see it. You will see them cheating. Like this white lady went into a store to get her nails done, and they sold her a fake Louis Vuitton bag, and she took it to get it examined, came back, that resulted in a huge fight. So they do shisty things, they sell fake things, they don't do the nail job that they promised, and people get in fights with them all the time. It's just that we notice it because it's happening to us. And of course, the layer of being black, it heightens these interactions because they feel like, well, I can just do and say anything to you. You're a beast. But
that's the message.
they actually do this stuff. Now, I don't know how they interact with other Asians because I've never seen that before. But I have seen them interacting with white people on a lot of videos, and it's like violence, beating people up, chasing people out onto the parking lot. It's really crazy. They're very violent individuals. I wouldn't do business with them.
Well, I went to let me be careful to not identify the person. Let's just say I went to school with a Vietnamese family, and I've kind of talked about this before. That really frustrated the hell out of me. This Vietnamese family, the father was a refugee during the Vietnam War, and when the America pulled out of the Vietnam War, he took his whole family, got on a little boat, and sailed into the sea with the hope of the Navy picking them up. And before they all starved to death, the United States Navy picked them up and brought them to California. And they came over here and started a nail shop in Birmingham, and a gas station. Well, what frustrated me about that is my father served honorably in the United States Navy, United States Naval Intelligence. He volunteered for that United States Navy. He did not get drafted. He volunteered in the height of the Vietnam War. And my daddy tried to open a gas station to get a loan for it with decent credit and got denied like 10 times. He had to work at a gas station when these people who came over from Vietnam got $1 million loan to open a gas station they still own to this day. Well, the reason why I brought that up is Wani said that they make fun of you. Well, I had dinner with the family, and they were talking about the nail shop that's made them millions of dollars because we're their customers. And they just bragged on how when black women are getting their toes and nails done, they make fun of them in Vietnamese. That's not cool. That's what we're looking at. Housing, what's on your mind?
And after 40 years of these people uglying up the country, why don't we know that?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everyone.
What's up, brother?
Hey,
Good
housing.
evening, honey.
How's everyone doing?
Doing
We
great.
doing well. How you doing?
I'm okay. Uh, both of those questions, it's a yes. And Professor, you touched on, and Ronnie, y'all touched on like 10 different areas. And when you want to lock in on one, you got to, hold on, they talking about something else now. How can I put my input to this? Well, one of the subjects you was just speaking on where I can add on, and that's when it comes to these ethnic groups and their business and how they operate, especially towards black people, black American people. And but Juana, you made a good point. It doesn't even have nothing to do with color. They just don't know how to service people. They wasn't taught how to service people. And another thing is they think people they think everybody eats the same way. Like when I go into a store and I order something, I want it done a certain way. So everybody's looking at me like, why is he doing this? Because this is my money. I want what I want.
Right.
It's simple as that. If you can't fix it the way I want it, I don't, you know, I just don't want it. And I send Juan, you remember that picture I sent you in your inbox when I took a structural picture of my face and they were saying 70. What is it?
Oh,
Most of
yeah,
my
that's
most of
interesting.
my ancestry is in professors. Guess where they say I was from? I was English and Irish.
Wow.
I only had 4% African descent, and I had 2% Asian. So basically, they had me all over. More of the story is all of it was in Europe.
Wow.
But
But
you're
this is
talking
just
about what is that program? It takes a picture of your face and says where they think your face came from. And that's because of our skull morphology. More than
right.
anything, we have skull morphology. We're just no longer Africans. We're a whole new thing.
Yes,
Right.
we a mixture of everything. No,
Which made a new group. We're a blend
yes,
of everything at one that came together in one specific place, which makes us new.
right. Now I'm a light skinned brother. I put a picture up before, but you know, uh, I was talking about how people treat you when it comes to your color, your skin and your color and stuff like that. That never, when I was coming up, you know how your mother said, "Boy, don't be in that sun too long. You're gonna get too black and stuff like that." That never bothered me, you know. But I know it bothered some people. They was what is called color conscience. Is that's I'm using the right word?
Conscious.
Yes, I'm talking about when it comes to the color, like they just don't want to be in the sun. I thrive in the sun. I love the sun. But in a nutshell, when it comes to African Americans and are we part English? Are we descendants? The descendants of the Mayflowers, so forth and so on. Both questions are a yes to me, Professor. Absolutely.
It's a hard question to answer. And the thing about what's going on, I wanted to kind of address one thing, and we'll move on to E Money, a new speaker. But I want to address because we talked about how other groups have cohesion, how they come together against, you know what I'm saying? Like I brought up the nail shop, like these groups can come together and say, "Hey, let's find out what the people like and let's come together and I don't like you, you don't like me, but let's get this bread. Let's move into one apartment and stack our G's up and form an empire." You know, and I what I hear in my circle is, why don't black people do that? We did it. Why don't you did it? What is not said that I wanted to identify right now is that there was a whole government policy to keep us from liking each other. This policy was called meritorious manumission.
All right.
According to Dr. Claude Anderson, meritorious manumission was a legal act of freeing a slave for good deeds as defined by national public policy. That's law, ladies and gentlemen. The national public policy was, hey, Negroes, hey, black people, you better not like each other. You better not help each other. Dr. Claude Anderson further says meritorious manumission could be granted to a slave who distinguished himself by saving the life of a white master, inventing a new medicine, or snitching on a fellow slave. You heard that? Snitching was baked into public policy with respect to black people. That needs to be addressed, ladies and gentlemen. In my
I
pro se
have
opinion,
to
It's now called cooning. Isn't it called cooning now?
Dry snitching.
I have
it,
to
Dry
push
snitching,
back.
cooning.
go ahead, Wani.
Um, the reason that we don't live 50 people in an apartment is because we're not garbage. And we've been living in this country with a certain level of cleanliness and hygienic things for half a millennia. We can't compare ourselves to people that just, you know, came out of, you know, we can't compare ourselves to them. We're different. I don't know why that's a hard concept. It's not simply about trying to keep us apart. Of course, people don't want us to unite, but it's impossible to be united when you've been here this long. You have a tendency to move to different places and spread out. And these
Mm.
other people are new and they're scared and they're all huddled up with their little Ethiopia, not wanting to talk to anybody. We don't do that. We're not the equivalent to Ethiopians. We're not.
Yeah, and I think that's something you would see if you have traveled. And that's interesting to say that because the way people live, that tells you how they feel about themselves, how clean they are.
Right.
as a whole people. I didn't even think of that before.
May I say something? And another thing, Wani, is that we're just cut different at the end of the day. Black Americans are cut different. We're not going to sit in an apartment with 20 different other men smelling fut. What that means is ass and feet. You get my point, you know? We're not doing that. We just not.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, is that's what it is. We're cut different.
Well, that's it.
And
Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm
A
finished.
friend of mine said that she went to someone's house. She walked, well, her boyfriend went to someone's house to do some type of repair work in Texas, and they had a whole bunch of bunk beds lined up throughout the house and in the living room. There's a bunch of Mexican people with bunk beds all throughout the house.
Listen,
No couches, no nothing.
the closest we'd do that is when we was kids and we shared bunk beds. That's the closest we was coming of
Yeah,
age.
that's not, yeah,
No,
these are
these were
grown
whole
people.
families
Yeah, but you
sleeping.
know, I'm just
Yeah.
saying when it comes to black people, I mean, that's the closest we
Yeah,
ever
we
been
live
stuck together with
differently.
each other.
And
Yes.
also,
Well,
we've already suffered with poor conditions. We've already done that. So our mindset is to get away from living like that, that we pride ourselves on getting away from that. So no, we're not going to ever live. And I've been in these people's houses because I was raised that everyone was equal and not to discriminate against anybody. And so I would have friends, I'd go over to their house, and yeah, it would be like 20 people piled up in somewhere. I went over to a Romanian person's house and just to play with their little girl, and they were all piled up in there and looking crazy. And that
I was
wasn't like the inside of my house was nothing like that.
I was doing a
well,
job site in the Bronx over there in Randall Island. That's where a lot of the Europeans from, right? And I'm just sitting there. I'm in the car, and I seen like 20 men come out of a building, 20 white men at a one apartment. I kid you not. And they
Were
was
they
all going to
ethnic?
work. Yes. Oh, they was definitely European. They
Hmm.
was definitely from that
Eastern Europe.
European. Yes, Eastern Europe. Yep. And they were all over 6 feet tall.
well,
Yeah. And I land my plane there,
well, Wani,
Professor.
you said something very interesting that I'm not privy to. I believe you. I know it's your area, but you said that we've been here so long that it's only natural to spread out. The reason why that strikes me is B.F. Skinner did the B.F. Skinner did an experiment to try to destroy Black American family, and he started with rats. And what B.F. Skinner discovered is if you put rats in close proximity to each other, you can turn them into like animal. I mean, you can turn them like mean. Like it's almost like nature doesn't want living organ. Nature wants living organisms to have space. In nature, a rat will share. If another rat's hungry, a rat will bring him a piece of his food, bring him water, and But if you put what B.F. Skinner discovered is you lock rats into like close proximity where they're poop in front of each other and stuff, they turn vicious towards one another. So you brought up that Black Americans like to, given we've been here so long, we want to spread out. Could you tell me more about that?
Oh, it's just natural to, uh, I feel, to want to spread out. We have a Black History Museum in Idaho. We created a lot of history in the West as cowboys and lawmen. We have a history all over this country. This is not some little place that we all huddle together in New York like these other groups do. They're scared. And they should be scared because the one time that I saw an African family move directly from Africa to Colorado, they got set on fire
Wow.
by an Asian person and a white person. They killed them. Some of them died. Others were severely burned. So they're right to be scared and hide out in our neighborhoods for refuge while kicking us in the shins. They're smart to do that, but we're not them. Now, we have a history in every state. Hawaii, we have all kinds of history in Hawaii. We have all kinds of history in Alaska and all over the West. We just don't talk about it. We talk about the South. We talk about the, different music genres in particular areas. But we have history in every state, and we have the right to live in every state because we're Americans. Um, these other people are ethnic bigots that want to be up under each other. And that's the way they do. They come in like a parasite, take over an area, and then all of a sudden it's called, Little Havana. We don't do that. That's just not our way. We're not trying to create a whole new something here in America. We are the something. They need to come over here and create a new Cuba and a new Haiti and a new everything over here. We don't. This is us. This is our country. We don't need to create a new anything. We are already the country itself. We were created in the country. So we don't have something to try to manufacture over here in the country because we are the foundation of the country.
That's interesting. What I heard Wani say, if I should sum it up in one sentence, is or one or two words, is diametric opposition, which sounds like the system of white supremacy. So are people just learning vicariously and executing their own form of it? I'm just asking questions, people. Go ahead to Black, and then we'll go to E Money.
What's going on, family? Professor, Nikki, Wally, everybody else in the room. I hope everybody having a blessed day on this beautiful cold Sunday. Does the Descendants of the Mayflower still exist? Well, still run America? Because I feel like they don't even exist no more. Do you even see their last names anywhere?
Yeah, there's 35
Wellingsworth.
there's 35
Yeah, but it's not
million.
too many.
There's 30
Oh, 35 million?
35 million people descend from 102 people who got off of the Mayflower.
Oh, okay, okay. Well.
But
How many
they
of them
could
are
be
actually white?
they they were all supposedly white. They were
No,
all
I'm talking about
supposedly
like,
white, but they might be mixed now. They
yeah.
might
Oh,
be
that's what I
tan
meant.
now.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, how many of them actually white
We
today?
don't know. I don't know.
Cause the little space that I forgot who had it a couple of months ago. Well, last month really, and we was reading a book about the freedmen and the free people of color, and like you said, a lot of them did come from like Irish women or German women, and funny enough, I had found this book where it was like describing the like group of women that was buying slaves during the colonial period and how they they used that as leverage to gain citizenship and well not citizenship but gain like white assets as a landowner and like Professor said earlier about the English being willing to sell their children into slavery for a profit, it just shows like how demonic these people are. That's why I continue to say laws was made to limit how demonic they can be and limit our success because we have done great things. Even though some of us have to create things out of stress to try to gain our freedom, it just showed the ingenuity of us, even when we're in a predicament that can be harmful or just hard. We come up with ideas and different things to make our lives easier and other lives easier. Because nobody can make me believe that Eli Whitney made the cotton gin to make it easier for his slaves. Like it don't make no sense. Like, why would a master make a hoe to make it easier for his slaves to dig? They didn't care. At the end of the day, they was getting their money worth regardless. So it did another thing. Since a lot of these people was kind of like cosplaying Indians or just saying that they was other races to get away from blackness. It I wanted to ask like knowing that we created a lot of towns and knowing that white people like to whitewash history, is it possible that this was just a plan after the Civil War to implant so many immigrants and allow them to be empowered to manipulate the history so we wouldn't know that we are actually the founders? Because when you look at a lot of these old texts when they was written during the time period, like a lot of these founding fathers, they describe as dark skinned, or Norm said mixed, or some type of mulatto type of race. So it's very interesting, and I wanted to know like what y'all think about that.
I want to respond to one thing that you said. It was an epidemic of European women purchasing slaves. And of course, they said, oh, I'm just getting this guy to help me on my farm. But in reality, they had a boatload of children, and those children were living in these isolated communities called triracial societies. And the only people that they could date, because if you're half black and half white, you can't. There, first off, there was no black societies to hang out in, uh, and white society wasn't going to deal with you. So they did blend with these Native Americans. That was the only people they could blend with, unless there were some other half black, half white people. But remember, these people were in very isolated areas, and that's how those triracial communities um, flourished, because of the lack of being able to have your children date anyone. There's nobody left but Native Americans, and they went out and they all kept blending and blending and blending. So we have the people that we have today.
Well, this is very true, and you see that happen happening during Bacon's Rebellion. What started to happen is black slaves and Native Americans would counterstrike the white English Anglo-Saxon leadership class we're referring to in this space, and believe it or not, the Irish and European indentured servants start to join along. They were like, "Damn, that's a good point. Maybe we do need to attack them." And when those attacks start commencing, what you start to see is um, Irish women and black men running off together. Dr. Howard Zinn gives accounts of black men, formerly enslaved men, and Irish women running off. Those are terms he used, just running off and having children and stuff. Furthermore, I want to point out that before America was consolidated into a country under Declaration of Independence and Constitution, it was very commonplace for indentured servant fathers, Irish and European, to exclusively seek out black men to marry their daughters to. Why? Because American was egalitarian. Nobody wants to talk about that. And the egalitarian American culture in Virginia, particularly, what was the main job is working on the farm. So it was very commonplace for a white father to marry his daughter to a black male. That's why when you look at Virginia, you see a lot of people that look like, Chris Brown is from Virginia. Look at the way he looks. But it wasn't uncommon. It became such a taboo thing around the formation of this country. But actually, that taboo started in Maryland. Maryland made they passed an edict that made it, um, said that blacks cannot live off the fruits of the land. I'm paraphrasing, but if I want to be specific, Maryland doomed us, and that needs to be addressed as well. Onyx and Onyx. Well, let's get somebody new. E Money. What's on your mind, E Money?
Hello, can you can hear
Yes,
me?
sir.
Yes, sir. I'm about to go off topic a little bit. Can I go off topic?
Well, let's deal with the topic first. Do Descendants of Mayflower.
I want
Yep.
to deal with all this reparation stuff
Why?
when they saying black people don't deserve
Who's
reparations or
saying it?
black
White
people,
people?
huh?
Who's saying it? White people?
Nah, our own people or black people
Hmm.
are saying it. Like Dr. Umar was
He's
said it.
Cuban. Why are you listening to him?
Who?
Who? What?
Dr. Umar is Cuban?
According to him,
You have to.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I want to
a
go off
lot of
topic. They
people that
saying
are
like black,
brown are not black Americans that are eligible to get reparations. So
Hello.
what? Why are you disturbed that some people don't feel we should get reparations. Why does that disturb you?
because he speak for all of
No,
us.
he doesn't. He's
No,
speaking
He
for
he
got a
doesn't.
you.
He
microphone.
doesn't.
He's speaking for
He's
you.
amplified. He's amplified,
No,
so
he's
he speaks
not.
for
I don't
all of
even
us.
listen to him. He's speaking to you, not me. I don't even hear one word he says.
And he speak for all of us. He speak for brothers shouldn't date white girls.
He's
You hear
not.
No,
him
no, no, no.
talking?
I want to know
He's
why.
not.
Why do you think? Why do you think he speaks for all of us? Because he's not all
Because
of
he
us.
speaks for him.
His voice is amplified.
To you.
By
Right.
No, to
who?
No,
everybody,
it's
to more than
not.
just me, especially what black women,
Whatever.
No, no, that's not true. That's not true. Like he has his own.
especially black women.
I totally disagree with that. Umar has his own, and I'm not saying nothing bad against the brother, but he has his own group that he speaks to. He does not speak for me. He's a pan
So
African.
we just speak for Africans
The
He
big
and
speaks.
back.
He speaks for Pan
We're
Africanist.
not African,
all right,
so he
yeah, yes
doesn't
sir, yes
speak
sir, yes sir.
for us.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And he's a
But
liar. So
he
why
get
are we
on.
listening to someone who has been building a school my entire life? Why are we listening to someone who lied about being related to Frederick Douglass?
It ain't that I'm listening. I'm about to.
Shh. Why
I
are we
wanted to.
listening to someone who walked around
It's not that
Cuba
I'm
and
listening
said,
to
I'm
him.
Cuban, and now all of a sudden I have to listen to him? I mean, at what point do we say this
I
person's
mean,
an
he's
idiot?
not the only one that think like that
Okay,
though.
but at what point do we declare someone an idiot? What's the cutoff line? Like, what's the cutoff line? How many times do you get to lie and ask for money for schools you don't have?
Our history shows it can happen. All
Well,
you
not
could lie
mine.
and
That's why I'm in opposition to a lot of
not
people's
your
attitude.
history, but
You
all of
get
our
one
history. Our
time.
history is false.
I give you one time. You lie
Uh,
about your ethnicity, and now I don't trust you anymore. That's how I
Right.
do it. I don't know how you guys do it. Just sit up there. I'm Cuban. I'm this.
well, I'm
I'm
an
that.
FBA brother.
Well,
That's
you
all I
need to
know.
get a grip. Get a grip. Somebody
On what?
lies to you. Somebody tells you something. He's known for liking white women and telling people not to like him. Maybe he wants them all to himself. Have you ever
Like
discovered
him,
that?
Charleston, all
Have you
these
ever thought of
FBA
that?
brothers is speaking out loud.
Have you ever thought
Even
of
some,
that? Maybe he
huh?
wants all the snow bunnies to himself, and he tells all of y'all, don't go near them gals. Don't go near them white gals. Maybe because he wants them all. Have you thought of that? You see, we got to start thinking around these people.
No, I just want to. It's like what he said was not true because it's a lot of FBA brothers that's working a 9 to 5 and they overqualified even with no
What
education.
did he say about our working? He said we
Y'all can't hear me
he said
good.
we weren't educated.
Yeah, yeah, brother. We hear you good, but with all due respect, you putting out a whole bunch of misnomers. I'm gonna ask you to
Like,
consider the source. Just do this. What you do? Go home.
a lot of FBA brothers are working.
Go home
Who said
and
that
get
they weren't?
go
I'm
home and
confused.
I'm gonna give him some good advice because he seems a little confused. Go home, get a piece of paper out, and draw a cross on the middle of the page of the paper. Just draw a cross. On one side of the cross, on the left side, you're gonna put true. On the right side of the paper, you're gonna put false. And I want you to look through Umar's statements and mark off which one is true and which one is false. And if you add them up and it's more false than true, stop listening to them. Do your own work. That's how you do it. All right, the black. What's on your mind?
I just want to know. So we're gonna act like Dr. Umar didn't go to Ghana to finesse their rights aid that Sally Struggles paper. I'm just saying, cause he went there for to get citizenship and just come straight back. We know where he about to go. He
Yeah.
about to go
Why didn't
to
he
to
stay
DC,
since Africa is so the thing? Why don't you
cause he about to
stay
go to
over there?
DC and get that aid money that they said they needed. He gonna say he gonna personally bring it to them and deliver it, but they're going to the
Oh,
pocket. Cause like you said, we've been waiting down there 35 years for this school.
Yeah,
I'm
it's like
waiting for
a
it
whole
too.
bunch of FBA niggas out here is looking for a bag.
hold on.
Oh Lord, brother, I don't want to kick you off my stage because you look like I don't want to do it, man.
Oh, tank, it's okay, man. You gonna learn that you was finessed like a lot of us. You just gotta get rid of the Pan African foo, cause
Have you ever donated any money to his school? Where's E Money? Did he leave? Okay. Have you
I
ever
donated
donated any?
$25.
Nah, I ain't leave. Nah, I ain't never donate nothing. I don't do
Because
that.
because
I
some of
don't
the
mess with him
people
at
who I
all.
know,
So
some of
what
the
are you
people
Uh,
who I
talking
know who
about?
don't,
He's
some of the people
speaking
who I knew
against
that,
us as black people. He's
We
speaking against
know.
all
That's
of
why we
us.
don't
So
like
who
him.
cared? Let me tell you something. Look, Umar gave a whole bunch of marriage advice about my honey sister, sweet cocoa butter, love you down. You should marry a black woman. Is he married to a single black woman?
he's not married to
Nope.
anyone.
Nope.
There you go.
He
So
had a
so
fake.
He's a baby daddy.
right then and there, I stopped listening to anything he had to say. And I don't listen to what he says because he told me he gave me all this advice about the sweet cocoa honey butter sister that he gonna marry, and he got he
Well, I'm
ain't
sorry.
married, so
I'm
I don't want
sorry.
to hear what he. I don't like Wani said. All it takes is one time for people make mistakes. Sometimes I'll say things that are not textually
I'm
correct because
sorry for name
no, I'm not talking
dropping.
about you. I'm
Name
not talking
dropping.
about you. I'm saying people. Sometimes I say things that are textually skew, and I need to be corrected. I'm not above correction,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
That's
when
not a
but
yeah. But a
mistake.
lot of
He's
people
flat
use
out
that
that's
lying.
what
narrative.
I'm
That
saying, Wani. When
narrative
I
that
when I find out that somebody is intentionally lying to me, they become non-existent.
Umo out here
well,
fighting Ray J over Sukiano. Let's stop playing.
a lot of people using that narrative like black people don't deserve, are they gonna buy
Who
Jordans and
cares? We
cars?
already
No, it's some
heard
back.
all that.
It's
This is
some
To
old
be
FBA
Who
around
people
it
gives a
about
damn?
that
specifically
tire,
that
that tire
they
doesn't
need that bad.
stop.
It's gonna change their life. They out
hold
here
on.
robbing and killing. They doing whatever to get that bad.
Well, all right, brother. I appreciate it. That's you way off topic, and we don't care. We getting our money
Shalom.
anyway. We don't care. I don't give a damn if we all. Check this out. If we all buy some Air Jordans, it's gonna help the economy,
Oh,
and
I'm
it's gonna be
just
no.
definitely buying a whole bunch of them out of spite.
Yeah, buy them and then just put them on the street.
and
Lie.
and post them, Wani, on
Yep.
every
Yep.
social
Sure.
site.
Exactly.
You know what kills me, Professor?
What's up, bro?
Why is it every time our own people always concerned about
I
when
don't
we
like
try?
that scared energy. It really
Yeah,
makes me mad.
when we trying to come up. What's the problem with us coming up? Why we
Well,
can't come up, Professor?
because well, let me answer it for you, brother. Because we're not used to power. We've been trained out of power. And because the truth be told, when you're given power, that's responsibility. Let's say that tomorrow the federal government gave the state of Mississippi to Black Americans and said, "Hey, you're president, professor. Guess what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to figure the fuck how to fucking run it. I'm gonna have to find engineers. I'm gonna have to find lawyers. I'm gonna have to build a military. That's a lot of work. And our confidence. The truth. This is kind of sad, but the teachers call it self-efficacy. Self-efficacy means what you believe you can do. You asked a powerful question. I'm not letting that shit go. Hold on. Let's answer this the right way. Hold on one second while I get a diagram for you. This goes back to Maslow's hierarchy of
Pull
needs.
that paperwork out.
It's coming. Hold on one second. Let me find it because we going there. We going all the way there. You understand me? While I'm looking for it, I'm gonna talk. So Maslow identified what a human being needs to self-actualize. Self-actualization means you come to a point where you believe that you know that you can do whatever you need to do. You know that you can feed your family. You know you can please your wife. You know you can do all kinds of stuff, and you don't have to walk around telling everybody, "Hey, look at me, I'm a big guy. I know how to do stuff." You just do it, and you have a smile on your face. Well, there's several things need to be in place first before you get to self-actualization. Now, it's a pyramid, and at the bottom, I'm looking for it as we speak. At the very bottom is just basic needs: shelter, clothing,
Food.
food, and as you go higher, it goes into stuff like right above shelter and clothing is like uh shit. Let me find. There it is. Bam! It took forever for me to find it. Got it. I'm putting in a jumbotron now. It's a very important question, brother. Hold on one second. Where you at? Bam, bam, bam,
The
bam, bam.
basic necessities for
Yes, sir.
survival.
There it is. So I would just put in a jumbotron. Y'all look at it with me right quick.
I bet you don't. You don't have to do it by yourself. It's 43 million of us.
Money. Hold on one second, bro. Because that's out of context. So
Do what by
basically,
ourselves? I'm confused.
it's out of context. So basically, the answer to the gentleman's question, looking at Jumbotron, it read physiologic. Before you get to the point where you have enough faith in yourself to run a whole jurisdiction and to run it without showing off, right? Without saying, "Hey, this is mine. Look at my Bentley. Look at my Benz," or like Neely Fuller said, "Look at me." You the red needs to be satisfied. Red is breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. Once you get those, guess what? You can move to orange. Orange is safety and security. That means you're healthy, you have employment, you have somewhere to stay, property. That's a big one for foundational Black Americans. Family and social ability. Guess what? We just identified. We identified that social ability was destroyed by government policy under meritorious manumission. But I digress. Let's move up. Once you have social ability, move up. Love and belonging. Check that out. Before you have love and belonging, you need family and social ability. Those have to be intact. Before you have that, you need property and employment. It's like Legos. Um, After you get family, intimacy, sense of connection, you can move on to self-esteem, which leads to confidence, achievement, respect for others, the need for a unique, be a unique individual. That right there is what the brother, what it sounded like to me, the brother, which, and I'm not picking on you, brother. A lot of us suffer this. We don't have the green. We don't have self esteem. When you have self esteem, you don't give a flying fuck what Umar says. You don't give a flying fuck. He could get up there talking about he building a school for the 1900th time, and we don't. You don't care because you got shit to do. But when you don't have those things, you care about what people say. And lastly, after self-esteem, you have self-actualization where you don't care what people think. You're happy to be where you are. You know what I'm saying? But why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because systematically Black Americans have been denied the red and the basic foundation of physiological needs and safety and security. Even if we have, like I had all my red needs, my when I was growing up, I didn't have orange. Like, we were constantly getting kicked out of houses. Safety was not there. Like the Crips and the Blood shooting up the neighborhood. How are you gonna get to the other stages if you don't have that? People do it, like Dr. Ben Carson did it. It happens, but overall, is that's a rare. They're outliers. So, I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes, sir. Um, Now we talked about us not having uh uh what was it? Social ability. Keep in mind, now I'm not advising anybody, I'm just saying, should there be a claim, in my opinion, my pro se opinion, should there be a claim for reparations? The policy of meritorious manumission, which was a government policy, needs to be addressed because meritorious manumission, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, was the legal act. I'm gonna start right there, not reading over again. And in the last sentence, he says national public policy. So that was government policy to keep us apart, right? What did that directly affect? That directly affected the orange family and social ability. So, if, in my opinion, if there was an act to affect um, a statutory act to affect our family ability, and that's needed to have self esteem, I would say it's logically to conclude that we didn't have self esteem based on an act. Any lawyers in here? Mm, I'm just saying.
I was just going to say some things about reparations. Our request for reparations is the most valid request in the United States of
Ever.
America and worldwide. And there's no other requests and demands and petitions for reparations that come anywhere closer because of the length of the abuse, the continued abuse, and crimes against humanity. So I don't care what Umar said. Umar is a foreigner and he wants to suck up to other foreigners. He can't be successful just dealing with FBA. He has to appeal to his audience, which is a bunch of foreigners. How is he going to appeal to people in Ghana speaking an FBA message? Those people don't like us. They sold us and people like us and our lineage into slavery. They're part of the reason that we're requesting reparations, and they should be part of the people paying for reparations. They sold slaves, and that's not debatable. You can't argue the point. So, of course, anybody who's trying to appeal to uh, foreigners of African descent is not going to agree to reparations because it's tied to our particular group. But see, the difference is, and this is why I remain a hardliner and why I am ruthless on this matter, because I rooted for everybody. I rooted for Native American causes. I rooted for people in East India to get their jewels back from the crown, back from the Queen's crown. I rooted for all of these individuals. I rooted for Caribbeans to get what they were owed from their colonizers. But then when we put our voice out and said, hey, what about our reparations? We are the main people that should be repaired. We were promised repair with Field Order 15.
Right.
They reneged on it. We fought in every war here. These other people didn't fight in nothing. Nothing. Okay? They have no kind of history. That's why they come up here and they get angry with Black History Month. They can't celebrate that with us. I've discovered they are a bunch of jealous animals when it comes to us. And so, of course, I was shocked to find out that I have been rooting for these people, giving charity to these people, giving microloans to these people, everything under the sun for them to turn around and say, utter out of their mouths that we should not get reparations based on their jealousy, their savagery, their tribalist
Mhm.
behavior, the same thing that my parents fought their whole lives against. When they saw Africans portrayed as savages in cartoons on National Geographic, they wrote letters, and everybody else did too. Black Americans have fought for Africans in every way, shape, and form, fought to rehabilitate their image. For them to come over here and call us baby mamas that don't deserve reparations, it's unforgivable, and I don't want to hear anything else about it because it's too many of them doing it. They're doing it in writing, their celebrities are doing it, their politicians are doing it. This is not some troll on the internet. This is real life. They're making public statements, political statements. Their leaders have made statements. Just recently, a Ghanaian leader said Black Americans don't deserve reparations. We deserve reparations from Ghana, so they need to sit down and stop talking about us. Stop
And
leeching off of us.
that's a
Stop
fact.
asking us for to come over and to check out your country. Oh, let me show you where you were sold into
Sold
slavery,
from
and let's
and wanting
charge you for it.
and let's charge you. And you talking to
Hell
a brother
no.
who got
That
charged.
money that goes into that slave dungeon should go to poor Black Americans. They shouldn't be
Preach.
making money off of slavery because that's what they're doing every time. And I've gone to many of them. Every time you go to a door of no return, you go to a memorial in Africa, you go to a dungeon in Africa, dungeons that they built, doors that they constructed, trades that they set up. Okay? Whenever you
Preach.
do that, you're putting money in those slavers' pockets. And I won't do it again. Of course, I won't. I've already done it. I will never do it again. And they will never impress me until they cough up. No more apologies. No more flipping back and forth. We did it. We didn't do it. We know you did it. Pay up with those minerals and stop charging Black Americans. And for that matter, don't charge Caribbeans either because you sold them as well. You shouldn't be
Right. They need to
charging
pay. They need to.
anybody in the West
They need to
anything.
pay the Carib. They need
Make
to pay
your
the
money
Haitians and Jamaicans too.
Make your money off
Ghana
of
needs
white
to.
people because white people like to go over there and bask in the glory of the slave selling age. They love it. I've seen them all over the place, basking in the glory of colonial buildings. That's who you make your money off of. Don't try to make money off of my people because they have a sentimental spot for Africa.
Wani, yes. Second, those of you who don't know me, I went to Ghana in 2000, spent the summer 2023 in Ghana, and we went everywhere. We went a lot of places, not everywhere. Let me watch my words. But we went to Cape Coast, the slave dungeon which we were sold from, and in Elmina, the slave dungeon where Haitians, Jamaicans. So they separated us, which is very interesting. They separated what would be Black Americans from Caribbeans. That right there is interesting. Why would they do that? We'll talk about that in another space. But I was at Elmina, where they sold the Haitians, Jamaicans, and Bahamians from, and Cubans, soon to be Cubans. Well, when I walked up in that thing, they fucking charged me. And I couldn't believe I was being charged because my father came from those plantations. We looked up dad's lineage. He came from a plantation in North Carolina, which was sold at the place I'm at Cape Coast. We were sold. We got our bills of lading. Well, anyway, long story short, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? When I was in professional school, I worked at the Smithsonian Institution, and the Smithsonian World Class Museum in DC doesn't charge you shit. You don't get charged nothing at that world class museum, at that branch of world class museums, plural. And I just figured Ghana had the same type of ordeal. Nope. We stood up in line like Six Flags, and all of us whose parents used to be, whose grand ancestors used to be enslaved, paid money to see how they treated our great great grandparents horribly. Now, to add insult to injury, I brought my little DSLR camera to take evidence for the research I was doing in Ghana, and they tried to charge me again. It's, oh, brother, we have to charge you again. Your press. This is not a game, ladies and gentlemen. They sold us into slavery, and they are complicit. So all this bullshit over I'm your brother, they need to pay us to line up, get out the checkbook. You ain't got to give me no motherfucking money. You can give me some resources, like Wani said. FBA world, what's on your mind? What's on your mind, man?
Oh man, Professor, some man, Wani, some man, again, thank you for having this space on this topic, man. Wani was, cooking. But I just want to something add on something to the point. As far as people speaking against reparations. At this point, as FBA, we really don't care. We really don't care. Who speaks better speak against it, or to say what we're going to do with the money, because those are coming from people who A, are foreigners, and B, are not even who are not even eligible or qualified. And ultimately, why would it matter? Why would it something matter to them? Um, I I believe mostly in large part, with all the atrocities that's been done to foundational Black Americans here in America. Once we get the American establishment to bend the knee, um, something for reparations, then they already know there's going to be other entities and countries that we're going to hit up next. We want to hit America first, because this is the land where a lot of us are from, and we want, before we take the act on the road, before we take the act on the road, we would like to go ahead as far as the reparations, who qualify, who doesn't get everything, get the process further refined, that once we take it abroad and go after some of these other countries and nations that owe, we will already have a much more refined process when it comes to our reparations claims. I kind of find it interesting that when the Native Americans and the descendants of the Japanese, for when it comes to reparations, particularly the Japanese, that their descendants that were in those internment camps during like World War II, they wanted reparations. And of course, some of the American some of the social order, they pretty much told them no, like stuff happens, and they pretty much denied them initially. Japanese ultimately wasn't going for it, They went and built themselves up and came back to the table like when they got themselves codified. They came back to America like, hey, and so like, hey, cut the check.
Well,
And
I did some research on that when the reparations issue was hot because I wanted to find out legally what went down with that whole Japanese internment issue. And what I discovered is it was some Japanese law students. I think they were third year law students, but y'all fact check me on that. But they were just law students looking into that. You know what I'm saying? Look at the power of that. Some babies just figured out, wait a minute, there's a claim here. What, why?
But you,
Well,
I was just going to say, you know what they also didn't have? They didn't have a bunch of Chinese people on their panels. They didn't have a bunch of Cambodian people on the panel making decisions about their
facts.
reparations. They didn't have all these ragtag groups that were not
Facts. They
them.
delineated.
exactly,
Yeah, that's Wani. That is a better. That's a poignant point. Like, yes, they that's the power of delineation. They didn't have that. What Wani just said. They had each other, and I just want to identify power. They weren't even attorneys yet. I think when what I read, the case I read said law students. So law students brought that case forth. You know what I'm saying? So where are law students? Where's the connection between our law students and our our elders? That's just food for thought. Last but not least, Wani brought up Special Field Order 15, and we just kind of take for granted that people understand what that issue is. I want to identify the issue, and I'm gonna shut up my mouth and go to Brother Man. Um, Dr. Howard Zinn says in early 1865, William Tecumseh Sherman held a conference in Savannah, Georgia, with 20 Negro ministers and church officials. Let's stop right there. So when Lincoln was put into a fucked up situation. And Frederick Douglass, in all his brilliance, gave Lincoln the slaves with condition precedents. The condition was, I'll give you the slaves, I'll give you my black men if you give us freedom. Lincoln countered. Lincoln was a very smart, creepy attorney. And he said, okay, I'll free them. I will emancipate them. Anybody who's ever been had child custody case or been a third year law student knows that emancipate don't mean free. It means transfer under Roman law, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, they playing these little games, right? Well, Lincoln commissioned a one William Tecumseh Sherman and a one um, Ulysses S. Grant. Grant was general of the army. Tecumseh Sherman was close second in command. Tecumseh Sherman was given the jurisdiction over the South. Tecumseh Sherman, a child of two I think of high society people, a graduate of West Point. Something came over Tecumseh Sherman, and he said, "Fuck this! I'm not answering Lincoln's letters no more, and I'm burning the South to the ground. If you don't believe me, drive through Mississippi tomorrow. There's barely anything there." Because Tecumseh burnt that motherfucker to the ground. Well, some hit Tecumseh when he hit Savannah. He burned Atlanta down, and he kept burning shit down till he got to Savannah. He didn't burn it because he said it was so beautiful. Savannah was full of black people who got to him and hit his heartstrings. What did Tecumseh Sherman do under martial law, which was his full authority? When he got there, he designated Special Field Order 15. What was that? According to Dr. Howard Zinn, 4 days later, Sherman issued Special Field Order 15, number 15, excuse me, designating the entire coastline 30 miles inland for exclusive Negro settlement. Stop right there. It was duly under law that Sherman was a general of the army. Under martial law, martial means military, and when martial law is duly declared by an American president, which Lincoln did, Sherman had the authority to write that law, that special field order, which gave black people, let me say that shit again, gave them the entire southern coastline, 30 miles inland for exclusive settlement. That means that shit belonged to us. Let me tell you why Sherman did it. He did it because that would give us a food source. We had land to till and we had fish to eat. You understand me? So what happened to it? What happened to it was freedmen could settle there. Quote, freedmen could settle there, taking no more than 40 acres per family. By June 1865, 40,000 freemen had moved into the new farms in this area, but President Andrew Johnson in August 1865 restored the land to the Confederate owners, and the freedmen were forced out, some at bayonet point. There goes a reparations claim right there. Did Andrew Johnson have the authority to do that? I'm just asking. I'm not making a statement. I'm asking a question. Let that shit swirl around. Black law students, where are you? Hint, hint, hint. or like my sister Wani says, wink, wink, nod, nod. Brother man, what's on your mind, man?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
It's a trip because I thought they were all gone. I didn't know that there was any more descendants left. And if they were, I thought they would be all diluted and not even relevant anymore. It's just like the
No, they're
black
here.
man.
This,
102 people ballooned into 35 million.
yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Are they still considered descendants? They're so
Yeah,
diluted now.
yeah, because they have a group. So they definitely formed a group to talk about their descendancy.
I'm not gonna tell y'all everything I know, especially on the internet. I'm not that crazy. But let's talk hypothetically, can we? Wink, wink, nod, nod. Let me put it to you this way: some of those descendants, may be getting um, checks. What do you call them? Based off of interest in checking accounts every month that lead back to the slave trade. What makes you think that's not happening? And that's all I'm gonna
Hmm.
say.
Oh, it's definitely happening.
And I just want to say one more thing. I came across you guys by accident, pretty much. I'm new to X. I usually watch YouTube, and I wanted to let everybody know to sign up for Nikki the Gods when she rebroadcasts your program, so that we could get it into the algorithm and get them out to the people. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
outstanding. Nikki had a prior engagement; she had to leave, but yeah, Nikki has a channel where we broadcast this show. Um, yeah, so thank you, brother. Um, I think Black Truth. What's on your mind, man?
Salute Professor Allen, Sister Wani, and everyone else in the room. I saw other people with their hands up. Did you want me to wait for them, or you're going
You
to
know,
respond?
I'm being naughty. I don't like wearing glasses. The older I get, I need to wear them. So I'm gonna put my glasses back on. What hand was up before
We
yours?
prioritize new speakers.
Yeah, we do that. So I know you were new. Go ahead and go.
Oh,
I
okay.
think you were
Got
new.
it. Yeah, I was just going to point out Sister Wani touched on a good point in regards to the Japanese. They didn't have other groups like the Koreans or the Taiwanese or the Koreans or anyone else in their mix. Also, they didn't have a whole entire boule class who was specifically sent in to undermine their reparations claim. They also didn't have a entire COINTEL program going against them. They also didn't have a a system where you don't have a financial backing to where you can punish people. You see, the Japanese have finances. They have a country that they can fall back on. They have businesses, and they also have the underbelly of their society, the yakuza, who can administer different penalties if anyone decides to get out of line. So there are various methods that they have to make sure that their people remain on code, and there are punishments if they get off code. So there are a lot of things that they had going for them, and I think FBA society, we're starting to get there. We're starting to build an economic base. We're starting to get codified as far as the language and getting our people to say cut the check and stand on reparations business, not cowering down when people bring up different failed talking points that have been debunked, years ago. So it's good news, and I just wanted to add those extra points in regards to what the Japanese had going for them. Their situation was very different than ours. And with that, I'll land.
Yep, totally different. Yep, good point. All right, anybody else want to contribute? I think I saw Tyrell's hand. Tyrell HM, you had your hand up earlier. It went down though. What's on your mind? Tyrell, I'm sorry.
No, you good. It's Terrell.
Okay.
It's Tyrell. I know everybody gonna pronounce it different because everybody got different accents. They from different lingos, different parts of the United States. I know how I get down.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna answer the question too. Also, yes. Um, do the descendants of the Mayflower still run America? I would like to say yes on that. I would definitely like to say that's yes. And that's based on Neely Fuller, a lot of what Neely Fuller touches on. And the second part to the question, I would definitely say yes to, because many of us have not just a bloodline, but many of us have the English last names, surnames and whatnot, and we speak English. We speak better English than what most of them do,
That's a
and I'll park my car on that.
that's a great point. Hidden in plain sight. Damn, I ain't even think about that. We walk around here with whole English last names. That shit was right in front of my face. I got one. Damn. Good point,
Yeah, I
brother.
do. I do too. I trace my lineage back to one of the plantations in Virginia, one of the largest plantations, and I want to say Delaware as well on my father's side.
Wow.
Martins, the Whites, that's what the M is for, and the H is my mother's side. So I got two last names. My middle name is my mother's maiden name. Hampton. That's of course is Irish, but and that's basically what her lineage was. Like my great great grandmother, um, she has Irish descendants, one way or another, and they came from by way of Arkansas. Her and my great grandfather, great great grandfather, her husband, they fled because, long story short, they fled because it was a race riot going on down there. This was during the 1920s, between the 1910s, 1920s, and they fled when they was 14. They were both 14, born on the same day, I think, if I remember right, the same day, the same year. They both had to flee. They might be one of the, very few survivors that survived a particular race riot or in the state of Arkansas, and they made their way north to Chicago.
Wow. So I wouldn't use the word fled when we talk about foundational Black Americans, because moving from Alabama, and a lot of my case of my family during the Great Migration, moving from Alabama to Chicago is still, you're still in the same country. You're still in the United States of America. So that's not really fleeing. That's
But
relocating.
the
Fleeing
only
is
reason why I used the word fled was because they were children. They were basically
got it.
survivors. They were 14 at the time. They both were 14.
Got it. Got it. I hear you, brother. I appreciate your submission. Go ahead, the Black.
Yeah, I just want to add, it's crazy. Even though we be running down these tethers and these immigrants and all these people that go against us, it's crazy because even within Wani's submission and complaining about these people, she was still championing for them to get justice. You too, Professor. Like y'all was still wanting justice for the people in the Caribbean. So it just shows the humanitarian spirit of our people. Like even though we know we being done wrong and we seeking our own justice claims, we still willing to fight for others, even if they
No, that was
they are
before.
medians.
That was
Yeah, I
before.
understand now.
Now,
Yeah, they don't fuck up. They lost a good ally.
Yeah, we're very powerful allies, and but we're still, that's our spirit. That's that majority spirit. We don't want anybody not to get justice. We just want our own justice. And what we've realized in this zeitgeist, this time ghost is what that means. In this specific time, is that it's time to consolidate. And like my grandmama, she didn't have a third grade education, but she had enough sense to say, "Sweep around your own front door before you sweep around mine." We sweep around our own front door, and once
Yeah,
once we get our stuff in order, we'll consider helping other groups. But it's just common sense to help. We got children, for Christ's sake, that need our help. Foundational Black American children need our help cross the country, and for us to
they
help.
do.
What'd you say?
No, I said they do, and we ignore them
We
because it's
ignore
kind of
them.
sexy to help an exotic child
I
overseas.
I see.
I did that my whole life. I totally ignored the United States. Oh, they're okay. They can get, a food bank or something. Everybody else is more important, and that was so incorrect.
I see it all the time in my world in academia, especially particularly at historically Black colleges. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have diasporic children who get priority. You got children from Zimbabwe, as sweet as they may be, getting all this help and priority help from baby boomer PhDs who say things like, "Oh, she's from Zimbabwe," when you got a little girl from the hood from South Memphis Pride right there that they're ignoring and looking at like she's filth. By the way, that little girl from South Memphis Projects had a 4.0. She's not
I
filth.
mean, that's why Booker T said cast down your buckets when he was talking to the white folks, and the immigrants came in and infiltrated and started these agencies after he died, and now we in a predicament that we in now with these cosplaying Negroes.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the next part of the conversation, I wanted to add that not only do Africans deny they're a part in the slave trade, but they know that they're lying because they also petition the West, quotation marks, for reparations. And I read their reparations requests, and they've been doing these since the 90s. And their position is that our people were kidnapped. There was no transatlantic slave trade. Some white boys with a butterfly net just ran up on the coast and kidnapped our relatives and took them over to the New World. And so we should get money for that. What they're really trying to say is that we are complete and utter imbeciles that made no money selling human beings. We participated in crimes against humanity, and we are the worst business people of all time because we ended up with nothing except being colonized, told to be Arabs, told to be Christians, told to be Europeans, having all of our land sliced and diced up. They got nothing for committing crimes against humanity, and they have created white supremacy. Without them providing all this free labor, there would be no white supremacy. White people would not dominate the Western Hemisphere. It wouldn't exist. They would be relegated to acting up over in Europe, and they would go right back to killing themselves, which is what their pastime was. They would not be in control like they are. So they created white supremacy. They gave the white man all the power. And now they want to sit there and say they should get money for being failed business people. That's
Well,
why they're never going to win because they are never honest.
well, Wani, I rarely push back on you, but I'm gonna have to push back, sister. They did get something. You wanna know what they got?
What?
Broken mirrors and broken umbrellas, right? Didn't they get
They,
broken mirrors for
yes,
the?
they did. They got some of those cowrie shells. Those are very valuable, according to them.
That's our utter foolishness, people. And what the African tribes? I don't have that source with me, right? I'm a lie. I do have that source. I took a picture of it. I'm about to put a source in the jumbotron on our channel. We prove what we say. We don't be babbling. We coming with scholarship, baby. What Wani just said can be found in Black Labor, White Wealth. I think it's one of Claude Anderson's books where he proves that the first person to sell was a the first group of people to sell African slaves were the damn tribal masters, man. And what did that do to them? That lowered their value in the eyes of the European. The European thought they were crazy. They were like, you're really gonna sell yourself to me? You must not like yourself." But they didn't see it that way because they believed that somehow mysteriously they were different. They were tribes. He's not me. He's a different tribe to me, even though he looks just like you, you imbecile. Just foolishness.
A lot of them was brothers. A lot of them was family members, and they was doing that.
That's what Dr. Snyder said. That's exactly I'm looking for the picture. I didn't see what brother said that, but whoever said that is exactly right. Dr. Snyder said that in their masterpiece. They said that they were brothers and sisters doing that shit. How? Oh,
That's what Shaka Zulu was fighting against. That's why Shaka Zulu was so hated
mm-mm.
because he was trying to keep all that shit down, and he was taking lives in order to do it. He was. I'm not glorifying him, but he was doing a Harriet Tubman, basically, essentially.
This madness. Y'all looking at jumbotron? It says distinctly in 15. No, I'm sorry. In 1500. What's the first name? Well, I mean, what's the first name on the timeline? Tribal chiefs, then Arabs. So what you hear in school is the Arabs. You hear the European, the white professor say, "Well, the Arabs were the first in the slave trade. It wasn't the whites; it was the Arabs." Wrong. It was black tribal leaders saying, "Hello, hello, white man. Look at what I got." And Doctor, you know what our brother Doctor John Henry Clark said? Doctor John Clark insinuated that they were showing off. They saw a new group of people, the Europeans, come over, and to show off, they said, "I'm so powerful. I'm gonna sell you a slave of mine, dummy." And it backfired on them.
This is an example of their behavior. The Organization of African Unity demanded reparations from the West for kidnapped Africans and being colonized. They requested that at the Durban conference. And they just totally overlooked the descendants of these people
Wow.
in the United States. So they want money for selling slaves. They're still trying to make money off of selling slaves.
Mm-mm.
They just won't stop. They cannot stop trying to make money off of this. They have memorials, doors of no return, dungeons, petitions. They even went so far as to write to this country. These are two people, Secretary General of this NUD organization. They said, "We Nigerian Americans," which they're not Nigerian Americans, they're in Nigeria and they're not American. So that's lie number one. Trace their history to the United States back to over centuries. We have contributed immensely in all spheres of national development. What? Where?
Mm-mm.
Nigerians didn't do anything here except getting the boot and getting out. That's what they're going to be famous for, being deported,
My
because they're not doing anything here.
my favorite part about visiting Elmina Castle is they after they show you where where all the rape occurred and the selling and the beating and the hole where there's still nail marks. Somehow there are nail marks in concrete. I haven't figured that out. They locked the men that tried to rebel in the hole. That thing that's in prison was first in Ghana at Cape Coast and Elmina Castle, but I digress. And brothers was so desperate that they clawed fucking scar marks in concrete with their nails, for Christ's sake. After they get through showing you all that and you're about to vomit, because downstairs where they held the slaves, even though that was 400 years ago, still has a particular smell, if you know what I mean. They walk you upstairs to the gift shop where you can politely buy shit. Whose idea was that? Brother man, educate us.
Miss Stacy's been up for a minute. If you want to let her go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stacey.
Sorry about that. I know you guys, you were letting new people speak. Um, I kind of wanted to touch on a couple things. One of the things that when Wani was talking about the earlier about the rats, I think it was Wani was talking about the rats, the um experiment somebody was doing when you put a bunch of them together and people living on top of each other and things like that. And I was going to say it got me to thinking the natural order of things is to
Right.
spread out. I know not everybody is religious or into the Bible or everything. I am and but not only that, even whether you are into it or not, there's still a correlation there because the scriptures say that God's told man to spread out. Even with the whole Tower of Babel story, where they were trying to build that one tower, and then he had to spread everybody out because they weren't listening. We were supposed to inhabit the whole earth. So, when we do move and we travel and we spread out into different lands, that's just natural. It's like when you plant something, you plant a seed and it grows. You plant a seed in a pot and it grows. What do? You got to repot it because it's going to grow more. And then after you're done repotting it, you're going to put it down in the land so it can spread. That's
Well,
just what we
Stacey,
do.
you brought up a really
That's
good
what.
point about nature that I didn't even think about because I haven't
Uh huh.
planted in the last year and a half because my last year and a half been kind of topsy turvy. But you can't plant seeds too close together. Like with watermelon, you can't plant the seeds too close together; they won't grow. You're right. That is a natural order of things. Interesting.
Hmm. And then one other thing I wanted to bring up. I don't know if I should be telling too much of my information, but we talked about the last
Well,
names.
I
Mine
would
is
say be real
Robertson.
careful with that. I ride the edge, but you never know.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
lot of crazy people on the internet, so protect your information about you. But go
Yeah,
ahead,
that's
love.
true. Okay, so I mean, I guess it's like a. I think when I looked it up, I think it was like it's Scottish or something. But well, I guess then I don't want to say too much, but there is a particular last name that was changed in my family. My great grandfather. It's not my last name on my mom's side. Initially, it had an Irish spelling, but it got shortened and changed over to a basic spelling. And I was told that he did that in order to join the military. So that kind of brought us on. I know you and Wani, one of you guys or both of you guys are, I think, are good with this sort of thing, as far as the lineage goes. But and we just got through talking about, how if we are, I guess, uh, like the
Yeah,
English, um,
Robertson is an English last name.
right. So, well, I'll just say it. I don't care. But Lee, it was Leigh got switched over to Lee.
Oh,
So to think
interesting.
about that, and basically someone saying, "Oh, well, you're Irish, you can't you can't join the military." I'm guessing that may be what happened. I don't know if that's the case or not, but apparently, that's what I was told. That's why the spelling now is Lee, because he changed the spelling in order to be able to join the military. If I mean, does that make any sense to you guys?
Yeah, if it was
Let me look it
during the
up
time
real.
of the IRA.
Let me look it up real quick for you.
Yeah, if it was during the time of the IRA when they was doing their thing, it would make sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I want to say I don't know if it was I think it might have been the First World War.
That's interesting because
Well, that's before the IRA, but the Irish were doing having a rebellion around that time because you get the Irish families going on too. So,
Miss Stacy,
so
I was just thinking of in the sense of Irish being considered,
white.
not, kind of like the lower
Well,
class,
Stacey, if you can
basically.
give me a time frame, like a year, I could kind of because what I'm hearing is I'm hearing the McKinley um, presidency. McKinley was President McKinley allowed black men to fight in the Philippine War. Basically, before McKinley, the military was had like like strict segregation rules um, with racial groups and so there were
Hmm.
exceptions made for the black men for 54th Regiment during Civil War, but it was out of desperation because Lincoln was losing. He was getting his ass whooped. So they
That makes sense. It's possibly before that because my grandfather was born in 1914, and it would have been, I think, his dad. So apparently, it would have been some time before that.
mm,
This
I
Lee
yeah,
is
think.
the Civil War is
considered
1865.
right.
Lee is considered an English name too, even though it does pop up in other parts of the UK, but primarily it's English.
Yeah,
The
it is.
Leigh.
Yeah, Leigh.
Okay. Because I was told that it was Irish.
Well, it might have been. It might have been an Irish
Uh-huh.
person, but the name
Right.
itself is would not be condemned as an Irish person's name. You
Okay.
see, you know what I
Okay, that
mean?
makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah. And then one other thing, last thing I wanted to mention when you were talking about the Asians and how they view us. It's funny. This might be kind of a funny, lighthearted story, but then not really. It has a point to it. One of my nicknames is Yellow Girl, and the way I got that is my ex roommate. Her one of her nicknames became Blackie Girl, and the reason why is because she had went to this nail shop and she went and got her nails done. When she was getting her nails done, she was telling me about what happened. She goes, "Girl, I got kicked out of the nail shop." I was like, "What happened?" She said that the lady was doing her nails, and I guess accidentally broke one. So when she told her, "Well, are you going to fix it?" and she was going to try to charge her extra $5, she says, "I'm not paying for that. You just broke my nail just now." And another black lady had come into the shop and something had happened with her nails. And I think she had like two of them that got broken. And the lady was trying to charge her for the broken nails. And she's like, "Yeah, but you charge it." She's like, "Okay, fine, whatever." So, of course, my FBA sister, she spoke up And she said, hell no, you are not paying for that. She was like, how dare you try to charge her for something that you broke? So the girl, the ladies, they finished doing the nails. They went ahead and fixed it. She's like, I'm just going to do this for you one time, but I'm not doing it again. So after she got done, she yelled at my ex roommate and she goes, you blacky girly, all the same. You come in here no more. And I was like, all the same. So basically, that just tells you how they look at us or how they think about us. Like, wow. I mean, not wow, really.
It's
We not,
the
not
important
surprised.
thing, and thank you for sharing that, Stacey. But the important thing to realize is they are propagandized into feeling that that is part of the hierarchy. Go back to the jumbotron and look for the feudal system hierarchy. You
All
can't
right.
have a king, you can't have a noble without a peasant. And blacks were and Native Americans. Native Americans were first, the first designated. Remember what I read from Columbus's diary? They were the first designated to be the slave class, but they didn't do it well. Um, so then it became the black enslaved were designated to be the peasant class. So just keep in mind that it's a systematic thing, you know what I'm saying, and that kind of makes things the system more clear. We're gonna go to the black. Oh, go
Well,
ahead. Okay, look.
okay, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just
Land
gonna
your
say I'm
plane. Land
still
your
on the
plane right
West
quick, Miss
Coast.
Stacy. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm still on the West Coast, so it is. They do kind of. I don't know how they are out there with you guys, but out here they kind of do a little butt kissing to us now. And I don't know if it's because of what happened with that whole after the Rodney King thing and blacks was tearing up they spots. But now you go into those places, they try so hard to do extra and be nice to us. And maybe it's because we will be quick to not give them no money. So,
I'll never,
but I'll
Appreciate it,
go
I'll
ahead
Stacy.
never
and land.
know. They're on permanent boycott. I'll never know how they act.
All right, we're gonna get.
They can,
Oh,
they can crawl out of the store on their knees, and I wouldn't even pay them any attention.
I was gonna try to stay out of this. I was, but one of you tempted me. My issue with the whole that issue is if you're gonna build your shops in the black community, whether it's um, a restaurant or a nail shop or a beauty supply store, do you owe an obligation, given the fact that that community pays for your bills and pays for your livelihood, pays for your kids' tuition? Don't you owe a little bit something back to that community? Shouldn't you sponsor a little girl that wants to be a cheerleader? Shouldn't you sponsor a little boy that play football and buy his unit? That's not much, just $500 a year. Find a little man that wants to play football and say, "Hey, the Chang's Diner is paying for little Tyrone's." You know what I'm
They
saying?
have nothing to do with the community. They're
Nothing to do
nothing
with it.
but leeches. They don't hire people from the community, even though those people would know how to interact better with the bulk of the customers. And when pressed, because oh yeah, they got pressed. And like I said, I'm on full boycott for decades. They got pressed because people can't stay out of their stores for some reason. And then they buckled a little bit and started hiring immigrant blacks, like you saw over here,
From like
or people
Arabs.
of African descent.
Hmm.
Arabs, like over there at that store where they got George Floyd killed. That's what they were doing. They had
Right.
two West Africans working in there under a Palestinian. He knew that those were immigrants. Okay, and he knew that they weren't black, so he had them up there like, oh, this is my representation to the neighborhood. You just take this. This is all you're going to get, because people complained about it, and that's what they did. So they still don't want to hire us because they want somebody they can slap around. And they're not slapping us around. That's the problem with us. We don't fit into the global caste system. We're not being
Right.
slapped around by white people. We're not being slapped around by anybody. And they can't stand it. That's the problem. Just like Russians, they want Russians to be Europeans and bend the knee. They don't do it. They tell them to shut up or we'll nuke you. Even though they nuked themselves the last time they said that, so I wouldn't, brag on it too much.
Real talk. We're gonna go to, let's see who hadn't spoke. I don't think Tyrone spoke. Go to
Who was that
Tyrone.
crazy boy up on the stage
Who?
with the white fist? I said, who was that?
Oh, I let him
mm.
up, and then I looked through his profile, and I put him right back down.
I saw the white, I saw the pink fist, and I was like, okay, is this one of those Myron Gaines
Yeah, he
things?
had some little boy and a black kid in the handcuffs in a classroom
What?
and a picture. And I was like,
Oh
nah,
boy.
you're not speaking on my stage. Have a nice day. Um, I'm gonna let Tyrone up right quick. What's up, brother Tyrone? What's on your mind, man? Can you hear me? Tyrone, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, peace to the chat, man. I love being in here. You know what I'm saying? The energy is always lit. The conversation is always beautiful. Congrats to everybody that's always on the panel. Nikki, the other lady on the spot, and you, Professor Allen. Um, I just wanted to say, it's a full moon tonight. If y'all are, into hoodoo and certain things or meditation, around 3, 4 o'clock, it'll be a great time to,
You mean the
do your
witching hour?
rituals.
The witching
Yeah,
hour?
yeah. The witching hour. Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, what do we
I just
get
want,
when we do it? Do you have any proof that this is functional?
yeah, yeah. I used to
And what
practice
did
it.
you
I used
get?
to,
What did you get?
basically,
What did you
it
get?
helps. Basically,
Help what? Did you
it
get the what?
basically, it
Did you get
helps.
the lot of numbers?
It helps synchronize. It helps
Yo,
synchronize your day. You know what I'm saying? It helps
no,
synchronize the
no,
people
my
that
day
you
is
meet.
already synchronized
Oh, it's already all right. Maybe you got the power already. You know what I'm
because I
saying?
woke up.
Hey.
I
Some
don't have
people are
any.
naturally talented. You naturally
I
talented,
don't think
sweetheart.
so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're
Tell us,
naturally talented.
tell us the wins of this procedure.
The wins. What you mean?
Why would we do all this? Now, don't get me
Um.
wrong. I like celebratory baths at moon under certain moon phases, but I want to know what the benefit is. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So basically, you want to be able to utilize the energy of the moon when it's at its full potential. So the moon is at its full potential around 3 a.m., right? So we were speaking about it yesterday about how the moon controls the gravitational pull of water, right?
Well,
So
we
base
know about the water. We know that the witching hour is 3 a.m. in the morning. But what we want to know is how do we get stuff?
okay. Well, well, I guess I could
Did
share
Black
it with
wants
you.
a did Black
I,
wants a Lamborghini? So what's going on?
all right. So it matters. It matters about your belief, right? So your belief is about like believing and using certain candles and understanding how fire works, and understanding about your intention and using certain affirmations consistently. Like people do chants. You might see it on TV where people do chants. So you imagine what you want. You set up like a ritual altar. You light a fire. You might have to put water in the vase. It depends on which ritual it is that you're doing because there's different rituals for different things. So basically, you want to focus your intention and understand your environment and what is happening
Why
as
don't I
you're
know?
focused
Why
on it.
don't I know anybody who did all these things and got one of these vehicles?
Well, shoot, I don't know. I don't know why you don't know people like that, but it's definitely being done.
By who?
Shoot, it's being done by people that practice witchcraft. You know what I'm saying?
Who
People
did?
are walking.
Who
Hey
did?
man, you got hoodoo. You got people that's practicing Santeria. You know what I'm saying? You got people that's
The
practicing
ones that cut
voodoo.
people's cats' heads off. What did they get? They look like they're all running across the border to be broke asses in New York. What else do they get besides being a broke ass in New York?
Hey, sometimes it's just about recognizing the opportunities that open up the doors. So
Mm-hmm.
these people, right? They might want, let's say, freedom. So spirit will open up or speak through somebody, right? So they could have the access to even get to America. Some of these people, they have to do degrading things to get to America. They
So
gotta
they
sell.
cut a cat's head, did a ceremony just to crawl across my border and be ugly. Okay.
Hey, it's power in blood, but that's for blood rituals. If you know what I'm saying, in your water, and there's water in your blood. But The blood also has different
Are we
elements
gonna
as
have to?
copper.
Are we gonna have to kill people to do this?
No, no, you don't have to kill people. You can use your own blood, but
I
people do
gotta
use
kill
other
myself.
people's.
Oh my God,
People,
that's not very
but look,
helpful to me
in
getting stuff.
in deeper rituals,
Will
people.
I be allowed? Will I be alive to drive this car that the black is getting?
Yeah, it depends on which rituals you do. You know, people they do rituals with skulls. You know what I'm saying? And bones. That's
You're
when you
not.
get deeper
eh,
into it. But
How
it this
deep are
stuff
we
is.
getting?
I mean, it depends on how deep you want to go. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Uh,
Professor, you want to chime in on this? People are drinking out of skulls
Uh
now. I
oh.
think you know about that stuff.
Well, hey, like them little kids say, well, I'm not saying shit. Y'all ain't gonna have
We're
me
getting
no,
into
it's
disappearing.
some skull and bone stuff now.
No, I ain't saying. I don't know nothing. Allegedly, don't know shit about
Maybe
none of
not.
that.
Bush is not involved at
Hey,
all.
I don't know. Hey, I'm gonna put it to you like that. On the internet, on X, wink, wink, nod, nod. I don't know shit about skulls, bones, and drinking out blood. I don't know nothing about that shit. Not on the internet. I
okay,
don't.
cool,
I
cool.
just want. I
Respect
just
it.
want
I
to see
respect
some
it because there's
results.
certain information. Honestly, it's certain information that's not really supposed to be online. You know what I'm
I
saying?
want to see some results. I want to see somebody do this and then get the lotto numbers or accidentally get some wealth instead of people just saying stuff.
All right, so look, I'm gonna
You
be an
see?
example. I'm gonna be an example for tonight. So give me about 2 weeks. I'm gonna do a ritual and I'll keep you updated on my life.
Okay.
All right. So this is what I want.
What are you trying to
A matter
get?
of fact, I'm more financial freedom. Let's just say that. So I'm gonna show you through my personal experiment and
How
how it unfolds.
how do we get the checks? How we get the reparation checks?
I mean,
Because we had a woman who hangs around the fringes of the movement come into the room and tell us that we're idiots because we're trying to get reparations in 3D reality when they really should be working on it in 4D reality, like her, because she's so
Why
smart.
not 5D
And I
reality?
said, and I said, well, I'm not against that. I'm not against any of that. I like the moon. I like the sun. I like all the celestial bodies. I think that they hold power. I may not know how to manipulate those because I'm not a witch. But I said to her, since she's an expert on this and we're a bunch of idiots that don't know what we're doing, why hasn't she manifested reparations for the group? She's absolutely done nothing except take pictures of her butt and post it on Twitter. So I'm confused. She's doing a lot of talking about these things, and I'm not seeing anything except her getting kicked around like a football all around these groups.
well, you know, sometimes people don't have a heavy hand. In magic, they'll say like some people aren't ordained to do to do the work. You know what I'm saying? It kind of depends on your chi energy
Don't
that
you
you
need to
build up.
have your don't you need to have a lineage? Because when I studied this, it seemed like people that had a an ancestor that was a shaman or something have a better results, even though I couldn't see any results at all,
Yeah,
even from most
exactly.
people.
That's what I'm saying. You got to have a heavy hand. It depends. It definitely depends on your bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you got grandparents and different things that have these abilities and have these gifts and have, you know, I grew up around a lot of black women. You know, they have a lot of great faith. You know what I'm saying? So their faith gets them through whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so yeah, like it just depends on a person and their intentions and what they're doing, and magic doesn't work for everybody because you kind of have to be ordained to also do it as well. And you really you shouldn't have to pay if it's your destiny. You know what I'm saying? It should kind of just come to you. You know what I
So
mean?
it's not really good advice to tell random people to do voodoo because usually those things backfire and blow up in their face because they don't know what they're
That's what I was
doing.
gonna say.
I
Is
mean,
my little advice, and I've seen some shit and got some evidence in West Africa. If you know what I'm talking about, if you do, you know. If you don't worry about it yet. But I'm gonna advise this: if you do it, you better know what the fuck you doing.
yeah, you know that's what a council's for. That's what babalawos are for. You know, and you could also do different things to check if you're supposed to be dealing with spirituality in the first place. You know, you got the yes or no's, you got the four pennies, or you got the cola nuts. You know what I'm saying? But you have to have somebody that's already initiated into the process to do the reading for you. Even Babalaw's get readings from other Babalaos. You know what I'm saying?
What's
So
cola nuts?
oh, cola nuts. It's a certain type of nut. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta look it up.
Um,
People use palm
what's
oil
your view on
from palm
ether?
trees. You know what I'm saying? It's different things. You got hoodoo religion, you got voodoo religion, and it's
You
different
mentioned
sectors of it too.
didn't you mention ether?
Yeah, I mentioned Ifa too.
What do they do
That's more
besides
of
sacrifice their own children?
well, I'll put it like this. It can be
Hmm.
beneficial if you understand personification, right?
Has
If
it
you know that,
benefited Nigerians? Show me some Nigerians that are successful IFA practitioners.
I mean,
They look jacked up to me. Show me some successful voodoo practitioners in Haiti. Aren't they eating each other at this point, setting each other on fire, losing their minds? Doesn't seem to be working out very well.
hey, well, I know it works out for our people. I can tell you that
Okay, how?
because, like,
Voodoo works out for our people? How?
it,
Explain.
okay,
Putting
so
menstrual blood in some guy's spaghetti and then still getting dumped? That's working?
okay, as far as certain things when it comes to certain people, like I said, I don't know the intention of these other people's heart when they're doing these things. You got a lot of people, right? They're not really a reflective person. They're doing things out of impulse, and they're not getting the proper guidance before they even do the spell. So, like, you got a lot of
Can
people
you
that might
show us some success stories, voodoo success stories?
voodoo success stories. Um, okay, so I stayed on top of a voodoo church for like 3 years, right? Uh, and I used to speak with the pastor from time to time, and basically, like, his daughter is very blessed, right? Because sometimes when you do these rituals and different things, it just helps you financially. It helps to open up your eyes to see certain things. So, say somebody's talking to you crazy, right? They'll end up stuttering, or they'll end up coughing, or they'll end up not being able to manipulate
Do we
you.
have to do spells for that? We could just kick them in the nuts.
I mean, yeah, stuff like that works too. It just depends on your level of security and what you want to do in life. You know, I'm not sitting over here trying to convince people to practice it because it's not meant for everybody. However, if you do feel like you have magic inside of you, or you know that you are the generator, operator, and destroyer, you represent God in your life, then you don't really have anything to worry about if you know your heart is good. You know what I'm saying? So, like, God is the Almighty, but you could also uh uh you could harness the power. That's why the plants are here. The plants are here for you to utilize and understand the science of how to make these things work in your favor. That's
Hmm.
the overall goal, is to understand your environment and nature and make
I'm
it
not
work to your
against
benefit.
plants, but you weren't talking about plants. You were talking about voodoo.
I mean, it's called medicinal medicine. You know what I'm saying?
Making
In Haiti,
zombies? Making zombies is a medicinal medicine.
okay, I'm not talking about the demonic part because there is a demonic part to it. But I'm not
What's
even
the good
talking,
part? Let's talk about the good part of voodoo. What does that look like?
like you said, the spiritual baths, right? But that's part of hoodoo too. You could take spiritual baths and you could put certain plants and certain stones and certain rocks, and these things play a huge benefit, right? And getting into your bloodstream. Once these plants and different things get into your bloodstream, you cleaning yourself out and you're opening yourself for other things to come in, usually positive things. But you also have to take another bath to seal the energy, because now you opened yourself to the energy. So you're doing like a detox, but after you do the detox, you have to fill yourself up with positivity. And if you don't do it, then you're allowing yourself for other entities and other, whether it's electrical energy, to come inside of you, because you're still an electrical being. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay,
it's
hold on just a second.
What?
Let's let
Oh,
uh
go ahead.
the black. Did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions because I thought the full moon was when the freaks come out. But
Did you understand enough about this procedure to get the Lamborghini?
no, no. I'm from Texas. We
What?
don't play with voodoo. We don't play with voodoo. That's for them Louisiana people. My granny was she dealt with a lot of Louisiana people because she looked at Creole, but she wasn't Creole. And yeah, I mean, it's a thin line because you could try to do a ritual for a noble purpose, but as we know, like any type of trickster god that you try to worship, it it's like a genie. You get a wish, but you might not get exactly what you want. You'll get it, but know what I'm saying, it always backfire with consequences. And so yeah, I don't play with them spirits.
Hey man, hey, I
Housing?
completely understand. I feel like this. A lot of people shouldn't play with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not designed for people to play with. It's really like you gotta have a good heart when you get into it. If not,
Which
you're gonna get
religion are you speaking about? Which religion
just
specifically? Because you were kind of all over the place.
well, I deal with voodoo. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really deal with the voodoo like that, even though I'm informed on it. And I still have a lot to learn. I'm not sitting up here saying like I'm perfect with it. You know what I'm saying? I just have a strong basic foundation on the elements. You know what I'm saying? So
What's the difference
Like
between hoodoo and voodoo?
calling the corners.
it's a whole history behind it, man. Like
I'm aware
it's
of it.
it's a huge history. More deals with American herbs, and you gotta read certain books on it. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole. It is a difference. There's a difference. They got different tribes that practice different forms of it. You know what I'm saying? When you if you go
Hoodoo?
to
Wait, hold
not
on.
hoodoo,
Hoodoo?
not hoodoo, but like
Okay.
voodoo and all these when it comes to just dealing with witchcraft in general. You know what I'm saying? So it's a deep
Ugh.
concept, and it's just about understanding the elements that work around you.
Well, we might need to have a space to kind of unpack this because I'm losing context. It's interesting. I want to know about it. I'm not really expert, or I don't have in-depth knowledge on a lot of this stuff. So let's agree to have a space somewhere in the near future where we address this in a respectful manner, so nobody uses it against me. um, with
Yeah, it's
that being
straight.
said,
I appreciate that, bro. You know, I don't come here to like, you know what I'm saying. I respect the space, so you know, and I appreciate you too, Wani, for challenging the thought process because you just gonna make me help me get on my A game anyway. So I appreciate it.
right on. Let's go to housing, and then
I,
we'll give last words to brother man.
I'm not taking enough from the brother, but there's 43 million Americans in here, man. We trying to get a check cut. You follow me, fam? Tell us how we could get that check cut.
I didn't interrupt him. I let him talk because I've
You get a New World toad and mix it together with some blowfish. Oh, never
And
mind.
Yanni,
That's
you
not.
was
hey
going
Y'all
in,
are real
Yanni.
funny. Y'all are real. You know what? I'm gonna clap it up for y'all because y'all are real funny. But it's definitely
I'm not
possible.
hey
Yo,
hey
joking.
fam, it's
Tyrone.
love. No, hold
Ty-
on. It's love, fam. But tell us
No,
how
I know.
tell us how we could get that reparations check. Can you make them people sign them papers?
hey
Yeah, you
Tyrone.
can. Yeah, you can. You can manipulate
Go
the
ahead and
reality
work on it.
of people. You can
Okay,
do
go
that.
ahead.
It's possible.
That's what you're gonna be
So
doing.
we
You're
need
I
gonna
your
be
you
God and
working on
assistance.
that.
I,
We need you to
I'm
get
gonna
on
tell
your
you.
job.
I'm gonna tell you how strong my intuition is. I think Donald Trump will do something positive for Black Americans. I'll tell you
And
that.
now with hoodoo, they call on Roman Catholic saints, biblical figures, and Native American spirits. Do you do all those?
I call on my specific ancestors that I would like to summon.
Okay.
You know, it like
So do the hoodoo work for the Haitians really? Cause they still come over here and get butt broken.
I
So
don't
is that
know.
part of the ritual?
Now I think the Haitians do voodoo. I don't think they do hoodoo.
Yeah, hoodoo's
Well, they
American.
do voodoo.
That's my neck of the woods. My grandmama and them did
Yeah.
Hoodoo,
hoodoo.
hoodoo, Tariq Nasheed talked about that. Hoodoo is for healing the physical body. That's what hoodoo
Yeah,
is.
because Tariq's from Birmingham. We from the same place. Like
Yes.
people in my family,
And we
there
can't
people in my
mix them
family
all
practice
up.
hoodoo. So
Professor, you
You
Yeah, my
from
can't.
and my,
you
my
from
grandma from
Birmingham?
Helen,
yeah,
Alabama.
Okay,
Yeah,
so my issue is that we can't mix all of these things up
they're
together and
totally
say
different.
voodoo, voodoo, and all them in one, and Ifa and all in one bunch. Let's get organized.
right. But this is what I'm trying to say.
Which one are you going to use with this new moon? I mean, with the full moon to do a reparations healing?
We need a
Which
video.
Uh,
one don't
you got.
involve butt breaking?
I just mess with the hoodoo. But I'm
Okay, so
what I
hoodoo.
want to
Got it.
convey, what I want to convey, right? The message that I'm here to convey is that understanding how basic elements work, like cinnamon, salt, vinegar. Once you understand the spiritual aspect of the ingredients that you're using, it doesn't matter what you call it. You could be like Voldemort and create your own stuff, but you have to know the foundation first. It's like doing a new martial arts. You could create your own martial art once you mastered understanding the foundation of how to fight. You get what I'm saying?
But you're
Well,
just throwing different things out there. Cinnamon, vinegar. I mean, we don't know what's happening. We're
Look,
just
and
getting
then
blasted
all
with a
these
bunch of
rituals,
things.
the
and
books
then
is
all
out
these
there.
rituals involve gay stuff.
And you
Look,
pretty much all over right now, fam. You got us kind of confused.
I'm sorry, and I
Yeah, because the
apologize for that.
Santeria people,
I apologize
like
for
the
that.
Santeria people, they all male groups and they do like butt breaking stuff. And then the Ifatunde people do like butt breaking stuff and sacrifices. So I just want to know which one don't involve the butt breaking so I can talk to
Buck
Captain.
Oh
breaking
my
stuff.
God.
I don't.
Yeah,
Y'all, y'all crazy, man. I don't know about no butt breaking.
because this
I don't know
I
about no.
mean, that's what the little Mexican dude said that do the Santa Maria that they be in all the little Italian movies. He do Santa Maria and he
The,
preaching to the black
And
lady,
brother,
but he say it's all males and they kissing and stuff. They do
oh
butt
my
breaking too.
the
God.
Santeria. Now, here's one interesting story. Santeria practitioner down in Mexico was protecting all the drug dealers down in Mexico, and they said he's protecting us from getting arrested. And he went on, and then until he was sacrificing human beings, putting them in a cauldron because animals weren't good enough. He was a serial killer, by the way. And they used him for a while. And then he kidnapped a white boy who was a tourist down in Mexico because they said they needed this particular spell to have intelligence. And so he declared that the Mexicans didn't have any intelligence and they needed a white boy's brain to put in the pot, and that caused them to get attention because a white boy tourist missing in Mexico gets more attention than Mexicans missing. And they went down there and they discovered all these bones and spinal columns, and they were making jewelry out of it. It was disgusting, but they still got busted. So, does it work or not? They still got caught by the police. He had to have one of his friends shoot him on the spot. He didn't want to go to jail. So does it work or not? I mean, I'm
Hey,
not
look,
seeing evidence of it, of that particular man's usage of it working. And every time it does do something, it always crashes and burns. Just like we were saying, when you deal with these dark spirits, they always come back and bite you in the ass, unfortunately.
hey, it's like
Yeah, that's
knowing.
what I
It's
don't want.
okay, okay. Listen, it's like knowing that you God. If you don't believe, you don't think that you God on the inside, then you're not God. You know what I'm saying? That's just
Yeah. Let's say this topic for another day because it's very complicated, and
It
I've
is
I,
complicated.
I've seen a thing or two in West Africa, and thank God that I was with the tree people and got some. They put little bracelets on and gave spiritual protection. We can laugh at this
And
all.
you gonna get eight.
We can laugh at this shit all we want. I got pictures to prove this shit. Real talk. Some of y'all already seen. Like there's some shit out there that you don't understand that
Yeah.
you don't
What
play
we
with.
what keeps us interested is that we know that there is magic somewhere out there, but we may not know how to put it together. That's what the whole thing is, just throwing out elements and different names all mixed up together. That's not going to help us to
because,
per-
like, I don't know
perfect
if
what
I,
we're
I don't,
doing.
I don't know like who's listening. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, if the
Mhm.
message was ordained to be, trust me, you would get it. That's just how it worked. So if it sounds confusing, it's supposed to be confusing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not meant for whoever is listening. So my spirit isn't telling me to give you the formula. I would have to probably speak to you
Why
personally.
are we
I'm
talking?
just throwing
Why
stuff
are we
out there.
talking?
And yo,
Why are we talking?
brother told me, brother said, yo, you sound like you all over the place. I agree. I know when I'm all over the place, but I understand that that spirit allow me, because there's other times where I'm not all over the place. So it's
No,
for a reason.
it's all good. This is a specific type of thing. I've seen somebody do a hoodoo in my family, do a hoodoo spell to let's say have a loving experience with his girlfriend. He put too much sentiment in that motherfucker, and his girlfriend cussed him out. So,
Right.
um,
See, look, so professor, you already understand. It's like baking a cake.
but this we
Well,
don't.
get your recipes right.
Yeah, but anyway, we're gonna move on. I might have a subject on that because that's very
Professor,
interesting stuff. Yes, sir.
Professor, I want to
Yes,
ask
sir.
the brother a question before you let him land his plane.
One more question on this subject.
Hey, brother,
Peace.
are you trying to recruit us?
You
At
already
the end of the
recruited.
day,
You
we
already
already
recruited.
we already recruited.
Yeah, you already you working for
Into
the global.
into
You're working
what?
for the global consciousness.
Okay,
You
brother.
working
Recruited into
you
what?
working you working for the radio mind.
All right,
You
that's
might
kind
not
of
know
deep.
it.
That's
You
kind of
know, you
deep.
might not know it, but yeah, you
Right.
already it's already you we indigenous. I'm not just FBA or Black American. I'm indigenous. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm happy to see this. This was
Hold on,
something I
hold
would.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. You said you're not just FBA
I'm
or
indigenous.
Black American, you're indigenous. What do you think Black American and FBA is?
Hey, some people got different definitions for it. Some people say, yo,
What do
they
you think a Black American is? What do you think colored is? What do you think Negro is?
hey, I was just throwing it out there. You
It's
got it.
everything.
You
It's
got it.
everything that's here on this land that we've been mixed in with.
Right
Okay.
on.
This is
Okay.
why I said we from the soil, brother.
Moving right
Yeah.
along. Let's hear it. Let's go to brother man. Go ahead, brother
Thank you,
man.
Professor.
Yes, sir. Brother man, and then no taxation, and we'll give last words to True News.
And I just wanted to ask, um, our people is all you have to do is Google a quick Google search, and you'll see that 365,000 Africans were brought over to America, and the rest were indigenous blacks to this land. Do you think that they don't know, or they just don't care to know?
Know what?
That because they always say that there was no black people over here, there was no black people over here, and all they have to do is a quick Google
There's like
search.
a whole science research on the fact that there's two founding populations, one of them of Aboriginal background or Austronesian or whatever, and the other one of Siberian background. So why is that confusing?
Right. There's a lot of scholarship. It's already written and done.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why they keep saying that there was nobody over here. I'm like, we keep saying that FBA, we were already here
Well,
before.
who cares?
That's what
Well,
I'm
my
saying.
thing is,
Why are they
who
confused?
cares what they say if you have evidence that proves it?
I know. I was just wondering if you think that they believe what they say. I really don't care.
No, no. If you keep saying this, see, it's just warfare. It's psychological warfare. If you keep saying something, it's called the big lie. Hitler kept saying stuff over and over again, and you keep saying it, people start believing it. So
Yeah, I
that's
really
all.
don't care. I don't argue with them or anything. I really don't care what they say. I was just wondering what you thought, if they really believe what they say.
Yeah, some people do. They're just not, they're going by the white narrative. The white narrative is there's only English people here and there's only Native Americans. That's who we have to beat up. And then we have some slaves. They want it clean like that. They don't want to talk about the Vikings who were already here. They don't want to talk about the different types of Native Americans and big Olmec heads. They don't want to talk about those things. Okay? Because it muddies the waters and it
It's
infringes on
inconvenient.
their claim. They don't want to share the land.
I know, because when I grew up, I knew I was like, man, this junk just don't make any sense what they're telling us in school. My whole life, I didn't believe none of that crap. Also, I want to ask, Professor, did you ever figure out a time when you're gonna come on? Because normally when you come on, I'm at work, and I sometimes catch the middle or the last of your broadcast. So,
Yeah, we're thinking 9:45. I guess I should have said that earlier, but 9:45 is going to be,
Eastern.
yeah, Eastern at 9:45 Eastern, and do at least 2 hours, so 9:45 to about 12.
okay, and
Yes,
also,
sir.
thank you, Nikki, for putting everything on YouTube. You're the reason that brought me over to the professor. So I appreciate everything. You guys have a good night.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming by. We're going to go
Okay.
on to uh, no taxation, and last words will be true news.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, doing good.
No, you
Hey, I
are.
haven't. Hey, good to see you, hon.
Wait a minute. So, uh, the last space that you all did, I was gonna come up and thank the professor and let him know I got my book right. Hey,
Yay.
hey, everybody in the room, and it said, I got a pop up that said, "You have been kicked out of the space." Wait a minute. So I grabbed my pearls. I said, "Oh no, not me. I don't get kicked out of space." No, this is a mistake. But I guess it must have ended. I don't know what happened. But I got my book.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you.
I want to say thank you for sending that book. And I didn't. I what I didn't know is you said it was a workbook,
Yep.
and I guess I didn't. I haven't seen a workbook in a good lord, over 60 years. So just didn't have the concept, but I see that. I think there's something we should be doing with schools with that book.
Oh yeah, I've had it put through some charter schools. I have some truth in there, and so some schools have rejected it, but I did have a charter school to adopt it. So I'm doing stuff with schools. Also, that's being sold at the historically black college I used to teach at for the class. The class is multicultural education. So I did kind of make a trend and make a wave at a historically black college. So instead of having a book teaching you about everybody's history, that's being used as multicultural education. And speaking of which, the book she's talking about can be bought on Our Story Publications. If you go, I put in a jumbotron. You put $25 on the Cash App and put your full address, and I'll mail you out a copy. I have 75 books left, um, and 75 workbooks left. So, but yeah, it is being used as a curriculum at a college, and it's at one charter school. But
What's the age group for the charter schools?
the charter school is K through 8. So that book is written on eighth grade Lexile, but
Yeah,
for eighth grade,
that's perfect. Is it in Atlanta anywhere?
it's in Memphis.
Can you get it to Atlanta?
I'm in Atlanta right now, so I gotta
I know you are, but you ought to be able to get. If you can't, I got somebody you can talk to.
DM me because right now
I will.
I'm at a predominantly white
Yeah, that
institution.
that we need to get that around for the kids.
Yes, ma'am. They need to know the truth. I put a whole bunch of truth in that book. Although that book is barely 80 pages, it took me over 2 years to write it. Because I thought I was gonna write it real quick, but I would.
It's not when you say 80 pages. I think people may somewhat think it's an easy read. It's not. It's not. It is a workbook. You have to work.
Yep. And I
And that's the beauty of it. And the other thing about it is the way you wrote it, Professor. Uh, you know, people as my age can read it and older, and those kids that you're in those charter schools, those that age group right there, they can understand it. Certainly, they can understand it.
thank you. Yeah.
And that, along with that AI that they doing, and I encourage everybody in this room, because it's not my going to be my society. This is you all's society that's being built now. So you better have a say so. You need to have a black society just for us. And then you need to invade portions of that white society so they understand what they're supposed to do. And the way to do that is part of it is through that AI stuff. See,
Well,
you can get those kids to do that workbook and tie it into AI. What I've discovered, because I've been telling the people, talk to that AI and give it the black information, because them white folks is not able to do it, and if they were, they're not going to do
well,
it.
I'm glad you brought. That's a beautiful. You brought that up. No taxation. Wani, I've heard Wani say for like a couple months. I used AI to look use like, and I'm stubborn. I'm old fashioned and I'm real stubborn and hard headed. But I just said, well, shit, if Wani's doing it, I'm gonna do it. So in my lectures, I downloaded Chat GPT, and we were talking about Captain John James Oglethorpe and the Georgia Corporation. So basically, for those you don't know, when Benjamin Franklin and the leadership class of the colonies reached out to the Queen of England, she reached out to her military guy James Oglethorpe, who started immigration. Basically, that's the simple thing. He started immigration with the Georgia Corporation. So basically, the state of Georgia was created to fight blacks and Native Americans by using criminals. Got it? That's a fucking fact. Well, with that, keep that in mind. What I just said. So I was trying to teach my students that this concept, and I didn't feel like explaining it, so I thought of Wani, and I downloaded ChatGPT on my Promethean board, and I pulled up ChatGPT, and I didn't even finish the sentence. I was like, was Georgia created by, and Chat GPT filled it out, answered the question. Georgia, the state of Georgia was not created by, I mean, the state of Georgia was not a debtor colony. I was like, holy shit, the AI is lying. Georgia was a debtor colony. Like, why would it say, I'm just saying, all I'm trying to say, no taxation, is AI is not telling the truth in a lot of cases. So
Oh,
go ahead.
it's not, Professor, and somebody caught it. That's why I'm saying it. I'll send you the on the back end, or post it up if you don't, if you don't close too early. I'll put it up there where you can see somebody caught that AI stuff about lineage and us and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know what they asked because I'm not. That's not my area of
If
expertise.
you can, no taxation, please put it in the jumbotron because I'm closing
Yeah, I
tonight
want
at
to.
12.
Well, now I don't know about no jumbotron either. I could put it in the purple pill.
Or how about this? Send it to me and I'm gonna put it in the
Okay.
jumbotron.
Yeah, because it's very interesting because the AI had to admit that we were the true Jews. Let me go find it. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Wow.
Mhm.
Go ahead, keep talking.
The
I'm gonna
AI
send it
had
to
to
you.
admit that we were the true Jews. Wow.
What? How?
Well,
Oh,
I
they
mean,
did a study on the
define
AI.
define
And
who's we.
Wani, I can't hear you.
You can't.
Can y'all?
oh,
Is Wani muffled to y'all?
Yes, Professor,
she's
she
low.
is.
If you the true Jew,
Oh, wait a
My
minute.
Wani, can you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I hear you
I
now.
can I can hear her. I can hear
Okay.
her.
So define we are the true Jews. Who's we?
Now, what I think that I'm gonna say what I think she meant by that, and a lot of them say is the
The
see,
Limba tribe
not
or
that I think what they're saying, and I could be wrong. Y'all correct me, but I get a lot of us get this wrong when they say that they mean we're
Nah, she right.
Israel, like the true Israel. There is no see this Wani, this is dangerous.
The true inheritors of the earth,
No,
basically.
the true
Listen, they
Because
people.
said we.
Israel are the inheritors
Listen,
of the earth.
I just sent it to you, Professor.
Okay,
You
I'm about to
all
look at it now.
tell me. You tell me because it's screenshots and everything.
Okay,
So
Mhm.
you are not, Wani. You know I can't answer no questions. You know I, you go too deep for me on subjects I don't know nothing about. I'm here to learn from you, so I can't answer any questions you have. But having said that, I think it's very interesting. And the reason I say that is personal to me because if y'all remember that water when Whitney Houston and Bobby went over there, and Whitney got baptized over there in Israel. Y'all remember that, and the black Jews came out there and put her in the water and baptized her and stuff. My father gave those people the money. They were out of Washington D.C. and they sat down with my father and told them what they wanted to do, and my father made sure they were funded to buy that land. That's why it's personal to me. I don't know if we come over from there or not, but it would be very interesting to find out if
From
we
where?
do. How would that, what does that look like now in the state of the world? You see what I'm saying?
I
Come from where?
what where I think I know where this is going, and this is
Where Whitney got over there, I think Whitney was close to Jerusalem or something over there, you know. Well,
see this is Wani. This is this thing that happened last night with Mikhail and Trey Day. I think I understand. I know quite a bit about this, and these words, these damn words are used as warfare. When you talk, let me give me a minute to think about what I'm saying before I say it.
yeah, and
We don't come
and
from
tie
the
that
middle.
AI in there
We
because you
don't
see
come
what it
from the
looks like.
Middle East or Israel
Yeah, it's Israel was never. Shit,
or
y'all
Canaan
gonna make me say
or
it.
Arabia.
Israel is a misnomer. Like it is. Jeez.
But the area, we don't come from that
We don't
area.
know. Well, I'm gonna ask you this one. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. But one, how old is that area? Can you educate them on how old Israel is? This is dangerous. Yeah,
1948.
that's not very old. Can we? Let's stop. This is getting dangerous because I'm.
But
No, but
they had a
I wouldn't have called it that anyway because that name, just studying a little bit,
send me where
the
AI
name of
says that
that's
Black
not the name of
Americans
a
are
land anyway. They just put that on there
I put it in a
like they did
jumbotron, Wani, but
America.
okay.
I put it in a jumbotron, but I'm about to send it to you as well.
But more concerned about the AI part of it. You see what it says,
Yes,
Professor?
man. I put it in a jumbotron, y'all. If y'all want to see it, it's interesting. But this is what happened to me last week. I was trying to look up Georgia Corporation and teach my students about it, and AI just straight up lied and said that
But it said, when I looked it up, it said it was.
Wani,
I don't know why it said the
I
opposite
don't
to
know
you.
why, but it did it. Well, number one, I'm on the school server, so I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I just know that it did. I know that it
This is meta, Professor.
yeah. For some reason they wanted my students to know that
What is
She
meta?
hey,
Who is
hold on, let me
meta?
tell y'all
Meta
something. She
comes
got the
from
same thought.
Facebook.
We are the people of God as the same thought as Tyreek Nasha, Tyreek Nasheed say that we got majority spirit. It's the same thing.
hold on.
There's no difference.
See how they like to mix everything up
No.
into
This is
this
called
pot
this is called
stew.
confusion. This is called
Yeah, they all
confusion.
over
No, no,
right
no.
now,
No,
Professor.
no, 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 no. No, no, no. No,
It's
no, no.
not confusing, bro.
It is.
It's no, no, no. No, no, no. No, we're not doing
Hey,
this. We're not
Professor,
doing it.
I shut
Huh?
down. I shut down chat box one day when I was asking them about something about uh black people. They said, "Can we move
Mhm.
on to something else?"
That's
That's what.
funny as
Yes.
hell.
But look at
No,
this.
Say
no, no, no,
Let
no.
me
We
throw
black
this
say
in,
it
people.
will
Professor.
say that.
Let me
No,
throw
no, no.
this
We
in,
black.
and I'm gonna leave it alone here,
Go ahead, no taxation.
because here's what bothers me more than anything.
Oh, I mean, that's a little
I
bit.
understand about the descendants of the Mayflower. I understand who they are. And if you don't know who they are, there's one white woman that runs the entire gun lobbying situation and gun thing up in the laws and everything. She down there in Florida, white woman. I forget her name, Martha somebody. And if you, she's from the Mayflower. And if you don't believe in in toting guns and doing what she said to do, you will not take office on Capitol Hill. Period. That's how much power she has, and she's off the Mayflower. Now, here's why I said something about that AI. Do descendants of the Mayflower still run America? Yeah, they certainly do. And they fitting to run it through the AI. That's why I need y'all to get ahead of the game. That's why I'm bringing it to the attention of y'all, because you got to get
Amen.
ahead of the
Oh,
game.
this says West Africans are descendants of
Man, but when
Israelites.
you,
Child, I don't
not to
know what
cut
it
you off,
says,
How are
but
we
the
West
AI don't
Africans?
know anything about us.
You see, these white people
How
are
is it?
aliens. They're
Hold on.
aliens.
E money. Somebody.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Stop.
Yes, sir.
Oh, jeez.
God.
Look, I was trying not to remove the brother, but he's out of order. I said the next person to speak was True You News. But first, let's kind of address because a lot of people throw ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the problems, and we're making so much ground in our culture in our lineage, but we need to eliminate people just saying stuff. Like sometimes people just want to say stuff, and we have and I'm guilty of this. Brother Tariq Nasheed talked about it. It's like the whole church testify thing. Just let somebody get up and say, "I'm testifying on this and that." Oh yeah, amen. Go ahead, brother. This is serious. We need to kind of make screen what people say, and I'm saying that brother just come for just saying anything, equating, making misnomers, and that confuse. Now I can think that's amusing. Me and Wani can say, "Oh, that's okay. Thank you. Have a nice day." But that actually confuses people. So let's be careful with this confusion. You know what I'm saying? What no taxation was saying is valid. AI is not and I've heard Wani, I've heard you say that. I may be hallucinating, but I thought you said, didn't you say like about a month ago, AI is wrong? Didn't you say it was giving you? Am I making that up?
No, I argue with it all the time.
Yeah, it's like so. I finally caved. I'm like I'm so old school, and I pride myself on I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the information. But I caved last week because I'm overwhelmed with my workload, and I just fucking downloaded Chat GPT, and it lied to my students. And I've looked it up since then, and it told the truth on my laptop on my internet at home.
Right. That's weird.
But on the school server, it said in bold letters, the Georgia Corporation was not a colony of debtors. Like it's almost as if it wanted my students to see that. Oh, I'm too loud.
Can I just tell you this, Professor? It's an old
Go ahead.
saying old black folks taught me in politics. They said it forever. Break Georgia and you break the South.
Georgia's powerful. We're gonna move on to
I still don't see where this says that we're Israelites.
Oh, I actually wanted to address that
There's
delicate,
a lie.
very delicately. I'm not challenging
Why?
because I think this is why. Wanting. I think I'm hearing this a lot with our bro. Maybe I need to leave it alone. Maybe I do. Maybe you're right. But I think I do. Don't you think when our brothers be mentioning that? Don't you think they? You know what? I'm gonna leave this shit alone because I'm just gonna piss somebody off. Never mind. You're right.
You know, yeah, Professor, leave it alone.
I'm leaving it the fuck alone. You're right. Um,
Hey,
a true
Professor,
news
can
was
I ask you a question real quick?
yes, sir.
When you fed uh uh GPT, what was the question you fed it?
I said, is Georgia a colony of, and I didn't even finish my sentence. It
A
answered me. It said,
colony or what?
I was gonna say of debtors.
Okay.
What was Georgia created as a colony of debtors? And I put plus Jack Captain John James Oglethorpe, and the shit answered me before I finished. It said bold letters. Georgia, no, Georgia was not a colony of debtors, and it had some other explanation that was bullshit. And my students was like, "Well, I thought you said it was." It made me look like a liar. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, now this is speculation, but I wonder did the AI algorithm know that it was a bunch of students watching that because they all were on their laptops, and it know that I was on a, like in a classroom with a Promethean. They could see my board. I wonder the AI say, okay, well, Professor A is showing his students something. I need to lie to the students to make him look like a fool. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but everybody knows Georgia was created as a colony of debtors. That's common knowledge.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
Yeah,
AI
you're
is
right.
co-op to a certain
The AI
degree.
was doing that. You're 100% right.
It makes me feel paranoid. Like I feel paranoid. But anyway,
Yeah, that AI is co-op to a certain degree.
apparently,
Hey,
I mean, you have to consider who
there you go, Miss
programmed the
Stacy.
AI, who initially started
Hit the
it.
nail
That's
right
the
on the
first thing I
head.
think
hey,
of.
let's
And
let's
there's
Professor,
your
what was
let's
answer.
that last word you said? Dead, Debers?
No, sir, debtor, like somebody that don't pay
Oh,
their
like you.
bill.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to True News, and we're gonna go ahead and conclude. Go ahead, True News. You have the final word.
Peace, Professor. Oh man. Peace, Wani. Peace, Nikki. Peace, everybody to the room. This was two good spaces, 2 nights in a row, man. Like killer. Killer.
Love it.
Yeah, these was this definitely had. I'm in Georgia too, man. We got all that snow. Today was like the first day me and my fam kind of stepped out, man. We was out all motherfucking day, man. I was goddamn tired. I came in here, turned y'all on, and went to sleep. I ain't even gonna cap. But woke up to the sound of y'all voices again, and I ain't gonna lie, bro. It kept me in the spirit. What I wanted to say real quick, just to piggyback real quick, brother Tyrone. I put something in the pill. Just a quick question. I don't want you to rebuttal right now. We could chat about this later. But there was a woman that the New Orleans Saints paid to do a voodoo ritual on their to lift some sort of curse. So I want to ask you, what do you consider when it comes to people like that who corporations get paid to use, what I'm saying, like that. I don't want you to answer right now, but answer
What
me on the
curse
back.
did they have on them?
I don't know. I don't know. I just know that
But they lifted a curse.
whatever. I didn't really. I just know that they hired this woman. I just thought that it was interesting that the New Orleans Saints, that corporation, would acknowledge that history and go as far as to hire somebody.
All of the monarchy uses people to do occult
Right.
practices.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, to the space, man. I don't really know much about the Mayflower itself. But there was a sister yesterday that was in here named Empress, and she said something about Jimmy Carter and saying how Barry Gordy was related to him. And
Is his cousin to be exact.
right, and so my research, what I've been researching, and just this space kind of reminded me of just how everything is being whitewashed. The black put a lot of information in the purple pill about it. Um, I've found out that Denzel Washington is related to George Washington, and he is like, I always kind of, I ain't gonna lie, growing up I kind of looked at Denzel Washington as like a president for niggas for
They
real.
do not look alike.
No, I'm just saying a president, like he low key was like a president for niggas for real. Like if anybody was gonna be play a president on screen, in my mind growing up, the first person that would come to my mind would be Denzel Washington. And it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that he received the President Award on the 4th of January, which was the day George Washington um, gave his inaugural speech as far as the State of the Union in 1790. He so the interesting thing about all of that is, have you, all of you right now, think, when's the last time you met a white person with the last name Washington?
Never.
Never.
Exactly.
I have.
They
Yeah,
got
I'm saying
outnumbered.
you meet some, and I'm pretty sure if you live long enough, you will meet. So we gonna eventually run into somebody. But what I'm saying is there's 90% of the name Washington is
Mm-hmm.
black people. And when you look at, there was a thing of got put out about the 1,000 common surnames in England, and Washington wasn't on it. And there's also research coming out that I was doing through this other brother. With this other brother, he was telling me how George Washington was actually described as a dark skinned brother, a dark skinned man.
George Washington?
Yes, I can put it in
No,
the
he's not.
jumbotron.
He's not dark skinned.
I can put it in the
He's
jumbotron
white
right
and
now. His
ugly. He's
so
ugly
his
and white.
so
Are
one
you
of his
going by that swarthy term?
swarthy,
Show me
ruddy.
where. Let me show me where they say he's dark skinned. Swarthy does not mean dark skin. It means dirty.
It certainly don't.
Also, tell me
It
where
means
they related at too, Yanni.
hold on. It
Oh, you talking
means
about Denzel and
swarthy
Denzel
means to
George Washington.
them.
All right, so
Swarthy meant to them,
mm,
not English and not, like a peasant.
mm,
It didn't mean their skin color per se.
right,
I know people want it to be so they can say everybody was black.
Great
We're
right.
still
point.
suffering from an overcorrection of Pan African
Mm.
teachings.
Well,
Everything is not black. A lot of it is, but George Washington is not.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I
100% Anglo-Saxon.
unfortunately, I have a reliable source that shows that George Washington. Y'all remember how y'all were taught that he had wooden teeth? That's only partial true. The
Yep.
plate was wooden,
Right.
but the teeth came out the mouth of black enslaved men who he
Mhm.
knocked out their
Exactly.
mouth. So
Yeah, no, I'm not actually. I'm not saying I didn't own slaves. None of that happened. All of that
Mhm.
is very true. But at the same time,
But he was
like I just
swarthy
put it.
and dark skin, is what you're telling
No, they described him as in this what I just put in the purple pill
me.
as
What is the
they
book?
put ruddy complexion. So most of his team, most of his group, his company that he rode with, they were all dark skinned people from places like Scotland and they were described as ruddy complexion. So it wasn't, and some of them as dark complexion.
Reddy is
You
not
know,
dark.
and some of them
White
as
people
dark complexion.
actually think they have a very wide skin tone, but they're really just white.
I got you.
Different kinds of white.
Wani, can
I
I
got.
ask the brother a question?
Yeah, I heard your question, brother. So I
Mm.
heard your question. So I do a lot of genealogy. That's something that I do
Right.
for like as far as like a craft. Um,
Where do both
so
of them intersect at? That's what I want to
I
know.
got you. I got you. So George Washington never had kids, right? His brothers,
No, but his wife Martha had loads of slaves.
right? Exactly.
Was she
Mhm.
ruddy
Basically,
and black too, I wonder?
exactly. So
No.
Yeah.
his brother, Augustine. It descended from his brother Augustine. His grandson, I guess he had a one of our ancestors who was enslaved, and her name was Louisa, and they had a child whose name was John, and that would be his father's grandfather, and he confirmed
Great
it.
great
He,
grandfather.
no, his
1812.
no, his father. That would be his father's, yeah, great grandfather. You're right. His
Great no,
father's great
great
grandfather,
great grandfather.
Hold on. What are we who are we talking about? I've lost, never mind.
John Washington.
John Washington was born in slavery in
Okay.
Virginia, 1812.
Okay,
His
so it's his
lineage
great great
is distinct
great great grandfather.
from George Washington family tree. Interestingly, it says right here, George Washington family has extensively researched and many U.S. presidents have been found to be related to him.
Facts.
Yep.
However,
Facts.
Denzel Washington family history does not appear to intersect with George Washington lineage. I could be
No,
wrong.
that's not true. That's not true. His sister, he even
Okay.
George
Can you
Washington
stop?
himself. I mean,
Can we
not George
stop for a
Washington.
minute? I don't care.
Hold on. Denzel,
I
y'all about
don't
hold
care
Wow.
if
on, hold
he's
on,
related or not.
hold
Just
on.
come back with the correct information because I'm not going
Nah,
to argue
I
about
could-
whether Denzel Washington is related.
yeah, I don't
If
argue.
if
I
one
argue. I'm just
person says they
showing you
are
this
and
is
they're
the facts.
not,
I can put it in the. I can put it.
Professor, we would love to hear your input. This is a great moon that we're in. The moon is in Cancer, and I appreciate your voice and what you and Nikki are putting out. I enjoy both of you. Much Detroit love, always coming with knowledge from a spiritual astrological effect.
yeah, well, George Washington. I see it. It's oof the shit I got. I don't want to fuck y'all up. Um, well, I would tell y'all to put in. Well, we'll do that. We're gonna do that another space. But
I'm just going to say one
go
thing
ahead,
before we
Wani.
move past the Israel thing. The only people of African descent that's ever been associated with being Jewish are the Limba tribe, and they broke off from the bulk of Israelites, went to Yemen, and then there was some sort of like drought or something in Yemen. And then they ended up in southern Africa, not South Africa per se, but southern Africa, Zimbabwe. They carried those traditions with them, and they were tested in the mid 90s and found to have that priestly DNA. No one else has, and that includes Ethiopians who are very devout Jewish people and Christian people, but they don't have that DNA. They just practice that religion. They have a long history of practicing Judaism and Christianity, but they're not genetically Jewish or whatever they say it is. So until you come up or anyone comes up with some proof that any other group is has that DNA, then there's only one group and it's not Black Americans.
Sometimes it can be the Igbo tribe as well. Is the original Jewish
Did they
coming
get
from
tested? Did they
Western?
get tested? Did they get tested?
Yeah, they've been tested,
They don't have that
and
DNA.
this is what it was a documentary of a gentleman, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way that he said the Igbo tribe is the original. Then he used the term they probably would be considered the only tribe because he didn't like the fact that their bloodline from the Igbo tribe was proven to be authentic.
Wow.
And he has red hair. He's an Anglo-Saxon gentleman,
They don't have
balding
that
in the top
DNA.
and it's red.
Again, they don't have
I
that
beg your
DNA.
pardon. I couldn't hear you because you was over talking me,
They don't have
but
that
you can
DNA.
see that.
They don't
That
have that DNA. Thank you. Until they show up with it, the Limba people in Zimbabwe are the only ones with it. And yelling about it, getting mad about it, saying that they were Jewish for a long time doesn't matter. They don't have those genetics.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just see B. I thought I saw DJ Big A up in this thing. DJ Big,
What up,
what
Professor?
man?
Miss Nikki, Wani, family. I had to come up because man, it is
Hey, DJ.
man. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know why Black American people are so addicted to pseudo intellectual babble. To say Denzel Washington was related, or even say George Washington was black, that was the funniest shit in my like. That was funny. But Denzel Washington, I think he was speak when he spoke about it. He was saying basically his family was enslaved by George Washington, or some shit like that. It's not that he related to the man. Like, what is our addiction to just making up stuff? Like, I don't know why we get on YouTube and hear some crazy fool just spewing out nonsense and we just run with it. Like, I don't understand this stuff for real. Like, what does it do for you? I'm trying to figure out like what does it do for a person
Some people like
to
to be
like mess
loud
up.
and wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Israelite stuff, the we was Egyptians, we was this and that. We want to be everything but what we are as a people. So I really want to know what these people, the people who keep spreading this stuff, what do you get out of it? What are you gonna do with that information besides just make yourself feel better? What are you gonna do with it?
They're trying to displace us, like always.
No, it ain't
Maybe
never
they
that.
want to be
That
close to
that
white. Maybe they want to be
that's
kind of
totally
white.
left field. That's
We don't
totally left
need
field.
to make up things. We have a legendary lineage. We don't need to
Facts.
make things up. We have lineages that go to very historic groups, but
Listen,
one of them is not Israelis and
I put the
Israelites. It
information out
doesn't
there.
go to the Middle
You could do
East.
what you want with the information. That's
I
you. It's
just
up to
did.
you.
I kicked it to the
Yeah, yeah,
curb.
that's cool, and that's cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
I'm just
said it
saying
was
that's you
nonsense,
can
and I
do what
just
you
It's
want with
not
the
know.
information.
information. It's just stuff you made up.
Oh, I didn't say it. He said it. I didn't say it. Denzel Washington. I put it in the
Mm.
jumbotron. Yeah, that's from Vibe magazine or not Vibe magazine. Times, the Times. One of them. No, GQ. One of those magazines. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm speaking about the swarthy part and not understanding how they were using swarthy.
Can we just say if they was people of color, they were just old school tellers?
Yeah, but they weren't. They were white.
this
They
this
were
is like
white.
2021 information that people make up. Like nobody ever in the like it's been hundreds of years since George Washington was around. Nobody ever said he was black until some fool on YouTube probably said it, and now some fool on Twitter and other places is running with it. You know that's just really what it is. Nobody ever thought George Washington was black. Like nobody. They got drawings
Un
of this
momento.
man. You know, when they sat there, they had a black man sitting in front of them and painted him white while he was sitting there for his portrait of him. He probably like, that shit don't look like me. He let them do that. That's what you're saying.
I'm trying to figure out where the part where they said that his skin was tan, where that came from.
They don't care. They just made things up anyway.
It's a bunch of crap out there,
I
man.
mean, I looked up what they thought swarthy was. Yeah, you know what? It does. Some people today call swarthy Arab people are considered swarthy by the current white definition. But these people weren't even swarthy. That wasn't even the definition for it then. It was just that you're not English. You're dirty German. You know, they call you a dirty something.
Swarty do sound like somebody, like a dirty white person.
Mm-hmm.
This sound like you something you can call like some white trash. You little swarty brat.
Yeah, it was a word for dirty. It was the origin of it is during medieval times. It's basically for saying somebody trash, basically swarthy. It
Right.
doesn't have nothing to do with skin tone, like she's saying. You can look up word origins. That's one thing I did. My father was always into dictionaries, reading the dictionary. You know, I took it a step further and started looking up word origins. Look up the origin of words. Look how far they go back. That's important.
Yeah, my uncle used to call Europeans peons from the Euros.
The five the
Yeah,
5 percenters have interesting scholarship on the word European. That shit's interesting.
The 120.
What's that mean?
That's their lessons.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Well, well, I don't know what the lessons are called. Just a Muslim showed me the that sacred. What do you call it? The divine. It's something wisdom. I forgot what it's called. Divine wisdom, sacred wisdom. It was interesting.
Like every day, it's like, what's today's mathematics?
That
Build and destroy, uh, culture and refine. You know, day and the date and the yeah, the day and the day of. Whatever month it is, whatever day of the month. Like if it's a Monday or something, they ask each other, "What's today's mathematics?" And then they'll break it down. Yo, God, today's mathematics is build and destroy. You know, they got a what's the name up here in New York, so you know.
a mosque.
Yes.
Yeah, they got one in Harlem that has a real interesting story behind it. The mayor, damn near 100 years ago, well, not 100 years ago, like in the '60s or something, wrote a bill that said that they could use this building. You know that building they use. The mayor wrote a ordinance that said they can use the building rent free for like 100 years.
126th Street, right by the State Building.
Yep, isn't that crazy? The mayor
Right
did
right
that.
across the street from Sylvia's.
There you go. So I tell people like don't discount politics, man. Politicians it got that type of power to say, hey, the Muslims can use this building for rent free for 100 and
No, the
some
five
years.
percenters.
5 percenters. That's right. That's right. That's
Five
right.
percenters, Professor.
That's a good distinction. They're not
That
Muslim. They're
it,
not
it
the
wasn't
Muslim.
it wasn't that like a wonderful opportunity, like to you know what I'm saying? He had to have some type of influence on that politician, right?
Well, that's not. Yeah, that's true. But that wasn't my point. My point is some people act all hopeless and shit when I say, man, you just need to get the right people in office because when you're in office, you can. That's some power.
Yeah,
You know,
Clarence, brother named Clarence X broke off from the Nation of Islam.
Plans 13X.
Yes, brother.
Yep.
Yes, and he started the five percenters.
Father Allah, I think is what they call it.
Yes, and they have rallies sometime down there, especially in the park. You know,
Yes.
a lot,
Some
lot
of
of
that's
rappers, a
Yeah,
lot of
they call them
rappers,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They call them ciphers.
a lot of rappers are five percenters. New
that's what
York
they
rappers.
say. Yep.
Method Man,
So
he's five
if they
percenter.
could get a church dedicated to them for 100 years, you don't think they can get us some reparations?
That's what I'm. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that is the
They can get a
point.
church.
I don't want no offense to nobody. I don't want to hear about nobody saying we're attached to somebody other than Black America. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, me
Who
neither.
I
said
want to
that?
cut the
I'm down with
check.
that.
Who said that?
It's out there. It's out there.
Just he was just speaking in general.
Hold on,
It's
wait.
Oh,
out
I
You
think he
there.
was just speaking in general.
It's
you talking about 5%ers? Is you talking about five
no.
percenters
I
or
was
what?
just
What you
saying.
talking
I'm,
about?
I'm talking about as far as Black America when we attach to somebody else, other ethnic groups.
oh, I see.
You know what I mean, Yanni?
Yeah, just in general. He was just speaking in
Yes.
general.
Oh,
I
so
agree
five
with him.
percenters are a different ethnic group.
No, 5%
I'm
is
about to say the 5%ers ain't nothing but Pan Africanists, bro. Them niggas, that's all they preach.
That's what I thought. I thought they was a super duper pan African.
yeah. They do preach the Asiatic black man and all that.
Once again,
Here we go.
Asiatic black man. You mean
Yeah.
Somalis? Do we have light bulb heads? Is that what we're doing now? That's who we are now? All the way on the other side of Africa, all up in East Africa. That's
Yanni,
where
that's the
we're
five
from now.
percenters.
That's where
That's
we're
the
from
five
now.
percenters.
Yeah, they need a grip. They
Hey,
need help.
that's what that bald headed dude that was a, that got kicked out of office. That was a senator. I mean, there was a U.S. representative
Hmm.
where he was talking to Lord Jamar. He was like, you was back with the 5%ers talking about the Asiatic black
Oh
man."
Lord.
Because Lord Jamar, he fucking with a strong and he stand on code. And a lot of these politicians, especially black politicians, don't like that. So
He's
yeah,
God body too. Lord Jamar's God body.
yeah.
Yo, yo, I
But
got a
least
question.
least
How do you get somebody to give you a building for 100 and something years? That's
You
crazy to me.
you elect your own people, like Dr. Claude Anderson said. You elect. I say, I raise the motherfucking money, and I put DJ Big A in office, and I say, Big A, man, they hook us up.
You know what
It,
I
that's,
think? You know what I think that is, Professor? Back
but,
They give him that
back
money.
then, right? Back then, in the what is it? The early '70s and stuff. You know, a lot of black people stuck was sticking together back then. Black power, power to the people, kind of thing. It wasn't no other ethnic groups involved undermining the brothers and sisters. So I guess that's why they was able to achieve that.
yeah, he what he said was exactly right. And to add insult to injury, back then, what's happened now is a lot of politicians in seats that matter. A lot of their campaigns are paid for by big corporations. And if you think that a corporation is going to loan you $1 million to run for office and you're not going to have to give them something, you're out of your fucking mind. So Dr. Claude Anderson said first, really the thing Dr. Claude Anderson said was not new. Booker T. Washington said it a different way long before Anderson. But what they both were saying is we need to get our economics together. We need a base of money together. Pool our money together. Get our own businesses. Like somebody early on in this show said something brilliant as fuck. They said, "How about we open our own fusion?" Man, ladies and gentlemen, a solution was born on this stage today during this full moon. Well, you know what solution I heard? I want to say, I want to know who it was. Who said it? Somebody said, open a Chinese restaurant
Restaurants and
right next,
restaurants. Oh
right,
yeah.
right next to the Chinese restaurant in the hood, and let it be known that this is a black motherfucking Chinese restaurant.
What if the Chinese mafia gets in on us?
Well, you know what I'm saying? Hey, hey, hey,
I'm not scared of no
hey,
nunchucks.
Wani,
Give him the ass at work.
all I'm gonna say is we got organizations too.
Hey, listen, they got fried
We'll get
chicken.
their ass at work.
Listen, one of the
We got
most.
Korean fried chicken.
Yeah, no, listen, they got fried chicken and fries. That's the number one seller among black people when they go into them Chinese restaurant.
Why did they go in there to get that?
That's what they like.
I believe that's true because black folks
Yes,
showing up here.
yes, especially in New York.
Wait, what kind of restaurant is it again?
Chinese, Wong,
Chinese. Okay.
Wong, and
Okay, that chicken and
listen,
rice.
the famous thing in New York, Wong. You see my cat?
I wouldn't eat off of there.
Because if you go around any Chinese restaurant, you don't see no cats.
Say y'all got them big rats too.
Oh no.
They get dumpster rat.
Yeah, that's what that orange chicken is. That's why they color it, so you don't know it's
Okay, them
rat.
big pasta
Oh,
rats.
yeah.
Fry that shit up.
That's what,
That's why I don't eat. I don't touch Chinese
Don't
food.
eat
Fuck that.
mystery
Hell no.
meat.
also another thing to point out. Somebody you don't see no birds around their establishments either.
Right?
Pigeons.
Okay, they cooking the
Them
pigeons.
pigeons. Yeah,
Yep.
them pigeons.
Listen, I tell, a couple of my
That's why
family
fried chicken
members
be
eat
different.
that. I tell them beef ribs you think you getting, you getting cat ribs.
Damn.
Oh Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've enjoyed y'all.
On that note,
I've enjoyed y'all.
Professor
I
Wani, thank y'all
Yes, sir.
so much. I love your guys for inviting me in. I had fun. I'm supposed to binge sleep. It's okay.
oh,
It's a full moon. It's
Yeah.
baby making move.
hey,
uh
you know what's
oh,
up?
spaghettios.
Hey, Professor.
Hey, it's time for me to go. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Wink, wink, nod,
Professor.
nod.
Hey, Professor.
Professor, I sent you
Yes,
my
sir.
information
The
on
brother
that.
you speak
Yes,
on,
ma'am. Thank you.
the brother that you be speaking on sometime, and he's into the Egyptian Kemetic stuff. What is his name? Bobby what?
Bobby Hemmett.
Where is he at?
On
Nobody knows. I
YouTube.
heard he's still living.
Oh, you mean physically?
I thought he passed
He
Everybody
had a
said that, but
s-
Nah, he
he
didn't.
had
He
a
didn't
Bobby
pass.
stroke.
Hemmett still
because
Bobby
Steve
Hemmett still
Coakley
he just
passed and
laying
didn't
low.
know. Nobody
One of
know.
his last posts kind of scared me because he was talking about he was talking. The guy was talking about the spirits and stuff trying to take you and stuff.
yep.
That's what Bobby was talking about in one of his YouTube things.
Bobby was he's a real deal, man. I seen him do a ritual on YouTube. I saw on YouTube he did a ritual and the lights dimmed when he was doing and he looked around like what the hell? Like the lights like flickered and dimmed in the room. I was like,
We're gonna
uh-oh.
talk about all these things that happen during these things. Let's have a room about that.
Yeah, about the spiritual, about that spiritual
About
stuff.
scary things happening, but you still don't get any money or lotto wins. I'm
Yeah,
not.
we got to put it
I've
out the
seen
Denver
them
Blair
happen.
equation.
I've seen these things happen in front of my face to my body,
Yeah.
literally to me.
speaking of lottery, Wani, why is every $1 billion lottery won in California?
Uh,
I
It's
don't know.
rigged, man.
And who is
interesting.
the winners? Why no winners ever come out and be like, man, I won a
Mexicans.
$1 billion? Man,
Mexicans. All Mexicans out here in California. That's who be winning.
Hmm.
Ooh.
I don't think nobody actually win the lottery. They saying that it's really
Hmm.
like machine, and that's why you never see nobody be like, I won the
No,
lottery.
Very
listen.
rarely.
The people that win the lottery are chosen. They being picked,
Yeah, it's a documentary on Netflix
and
about
it's a
that where
book. It's a
they
book.
got caught
It's
scheming.
a book called Winners. It's written by a white guy. It's
They were doing
it's a it's it's a
the McDonald monopoly like that.
it's fiction, but if you read it, you say, "Nah, this is for real."
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's
All right,
about that
thank you
time.
guys.
I enjoyed y'all. It's a full moon and I got work to do. I'll see y'all later. Wani, any last words?
Good night.
Good night.
Ooh.
Nikki, good night. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Peace out.
Good
Hey,
Hey.
night.
hey.